This episode is filled with so much inspiration for you. They're easy, they're quick, and I know that you can do them. So let's get started. These shower curtain rings, and I have never used them in my shower. But if you have, let me know. Do they hold up? They just don't seem strong enough or sturdy enough. But for this craft, they are perfect. I took them out of the packaging and then I set it 4 sets of 2 and put them to the side. Now we're going to start hot gluing them together, but we're going to want to make sure that we are hot gluing them where they're even. So both ends match with each other. And then just a little bit of hot glue goes a long way because they are very lightweight. And I repeated the same process for the other 3 sets. Now let's bring in some of this nautical rope from Dollar Tree. I'm sure you're very familiar with them. It's one of my favorites because it's so thick and durable. This time I am just going to actually remove the thread from each other. I want to have smaller pieces of the rope. So I just pretty much untangled them and then had 3 different sets of strands. Now I'm going to start hot gluing them and just wrapping the rings with them. What we're creating is napkin rings, and we're going to give it a beachy, very summer look to them. I hot glue the very first end of the strand, and although I'm not going to hot glue the entire thing all the way around, I do hot glue here and there to make sure everything is secure. The key here is just to make sure that when you are wrapping it, you do not leave any open spaces between the strands. Friends, I do want to remind you, if you have not visited my Amazon store, it is always linked down below in the description box where you can find all of my favorite Amazon finds, whether it's scissors, paint, tools, whatever it may be. It's always linked down below, so make sure you go down and check it out. I'm finishing up wrapping this first one, and basically all I'm going to do right now is just add a little bit more hot glue and finish it off. Now I noticed that I did leave a little space in between 2 strands, so I just covered it up by going over it one more time. I don't want to do this too much because I don't want it to be too thick, but one here would not hurt. So I just added a little bit more hot glue, wrapped it around. Now to secure it in the end, my fear was that because it's this material of the rope, it's going to fray on me. But what I did is I just added a little bit hot glue. I cut off the excess rope that was left over, and then I added more glue in the bristles that were left over, and then I grabbed my little rubber finger and just swiped the glue all around the bristles, and it actually worked really well. You can't even see the glue, and it held up really, really well. Now that I have my 4 rings, it's time to give them a little bit more of a beachy look. This garland from Dollar Tree has these little anchors that I thought would be perfect to add, so I'm going to cut the little rope off, and I'm going to remove the anchors from the garland. We're going to keep the little beads for another DIY here in just a few minutes. Once I have the anchors, I'm just going to give it one coat of Rust-Oleum milk paint in the Highland blue. Make sure you watch until the end of the video because I am going to show you what all of these DIYs look like within my own home decor this summer. The style that I picked for my own home decor is very summery, very beachy, and I thought I incorporate these DIYs within my decor. After they were dry, it's time to attach them to the rings. We're just going to use hot glue, and we're going to attach them on the thinner portion. So you see where each ring has a thicker portion? I'm just going to add it to the opposite side. So that way the thicker portion of the rings is towards the back of the ring. Now I'm just going to hot glue one little anchor on top of each ring. I DIY'd these linen napkins a few months ago, and I just used a match stencil to give it our initial for our last name, and I already had them on hand. I wish I had something a little bit more summery and beachy, but I don't. But because it's what I had on hand, I'm just going to use them. I'm just going to thread the napkin right through them, and because the ring is actually really open in the center, kind of large, you can actually use any type of napkins you want, and I think these turn out absolutely stunning. I love the style, so easy to make, anyone can do it. Dollar Tree DIY, I am going to take this plank that I found at the Dollar Tree recently. It's part of their summer collection, but they do carry these year round. I'm going to mark 16 inches from the bottom, and then I'm going to score it using my blade knife. I score it about 3 to 4 times, and after I've done that, then I just snap it to remove the excess wood. I then measured halfway through my board and did the same exact process. If any remaining pieces remain attached, all you have to do is score it a couple times and then snap them, and they come off pretty easy. To finish it off, I am going to sand them down using a sanding block. This is going to smooth everything and just give it a more professional, clean finish. Now that they are done, I'm just going to flip them over and we are going to start attaching them. And you've seen this before. You can use either regular popsicle sticks. These are some jumbo ones that I have from Walmart, and I'm just going to use them. I'm going to hot glue 3 of them, and then I decided to cut 2 smaller pieces and then add them to those bare spots just to make sure it is nice and secure. Once I was done, I'm going to take one of these galvanized metal signs, again from their summer collection at Dollar Tree, remove the jute string, and we're going to hot glue it to the bottom of the board. Be very careful when you hot glue these because the metal does get very hot with the hot glue, so just be very, very careful. I am going to paint these starfish with this agave color from Waverly, which is absolutely beautiful and perfect for summer. I'm going to give it 1 coat, but then I decide to give it another one in a little bit. I designed a couple of designs on my Cricut, and I just want to show you here. This tool is used for when you are weeding any cut design, and I found them at Dollar Tree. They come 2 in a pack for $1.25. This is the first time me using it, and I gotta say I'm really happy about it. Not all the supplies that you find at the Dollar Tree are, high quality because of the price, as expected, but this one is actually a really good find, and I just wanted to let you know. Once I had everything weeded, I'm just going to attach it. I'm going to do the top portion in a stencil style. So it just says I need vitamin, and I'm going to use a makeup sponge to stencil it. And then I'm going to use Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. I did want it to paint the whole thing white, but I then decided to add the agave color on the vitamin portion, and I think it brought everything together. Then I'm just going to remove the stencil vinyl. I created another design. This one says C, and this one I'm just going to do it as a decal, and I'm just going to place it right next to the starfish, and it says I need vitamin C. Who doesn't, right? Here's that second coat I told you about earlier. So here are the beads that I had left over from the first DIY. I'm just going to thread them on some white jute string and then tie knots on each end so they don't come apart. Once I had them tied and knotted, I'm just going to secure it in the back using some tape from Dollar Tree, cut off the excess, and that's it for this one. I love these ones. I just love the simplicity of it, but I like how it's so nautical and beachy and just summery. It gives me all kinds of joy. Dollar Tree DIY, we're going to start with this mason jar that I found at the Dollar Tree. It's the kind where you can do some canning, and I am just going to remove the top, but I am going to keep the threaded portion of it. I'm going to paint it white because the golden tone just doesn't go with this style. I'm going to give it 2 coats and then let that fully dry. Then we're going to move on with these rocks that I found also at the Dollar Tree, again for $1.25. Great deal. I'm just going to start filling it up. At this point, I'm not sure how high I need it, but I did fill it up about 1/3 of the way. Now that the cap is dry, I'm just going to attach it and thread it. And then we're going to start placing some of these seashells that I did get at Dollar Tree. I believe it was last year, and I had a ton left over. I'm just going to start hot gluing them on the rim and making sure that they're overlapping each other just a bit. I was pleasantly surprised as how well the hot glue worked for gluing these seashells. I wasn't sure if it was going to work, but it worked well. Now these candles I get at the Dollar Tree as well. They come 4 in a pack, and they have a linen fresh scent to them. And I'm just going to place one on the inside. Then I'm going to place some of the rocks around the candle, and that way it's just going to secure it in place and just look a little bit more finished. I got this burlap ribbon very recently. It has this beautiful teal greenish color. I thought it would be perfect for the theme today. I'm going to cut a piece long enough to be able to wrap around the bottom of the mason jar. And I'm going to fold it in half. Then I'm just going to hot glue it to the bottom and make sure that it's in place. After the ribbon was attached, I felt like something was missing on the actual ribbon, so I took the white jute string that I have and I wrapped it around twice and I just knotted it in the front. No bow or anything, I just made a simple knot. I'm going to take a couple of these little strands of faux greenery. They kind of resemble a little bit of seaweed, so I thought it would be perfect for this theme. So I'm just going to cut 3 of them and hot glue them to the knot we placed. And then I'm going to hot glue one last shell right to the front, and that's it for this one. Such a beautiful and actually very easy DIY that anyone can make. And once again, this one is in my decor, so wait till the end. For the next Dollar Tree DIY, I'm going to take this jar that I actually thrifted several months ago, but Dollar Tree does carry mason jars that are a little bigger, so you can always find them there as well. I'm going to fill again with the same white rocks, just a little bit of the bottom, maybe about 1/4 of it, because this jar is a little bigger than what the one I worked on. I had this just a piece of branch that I had in my stash. I don't know why or where it came from, but I had it. I cut it into 2 pieces, and then I had this little baggie of driftwood that you can find at Dollar Tree, again for $1.25, and I'm just going to pick a few pieces that just I think would look well with the design I'm looking for. I'm going to paint 2 of them white and 2 of them with the agave blue from Waverly. Once I had the pieces all dry, now it's time to place them inside the jar. What we're creating is a little lantern for summer. I'm going to place it starting with the larger ones and then just start stacking them. I'm just going to do a little bit of design, but also just kind of let them fall wherever they fall. Once I had them in place, then I added a couple of the seashells that I used earlier. And again, I'm just going to drop a couple here and there until I kind of like what I see. If you like fairy lights, I found these on Amazon. They're actually a really good quality and they come a ton in a pack. I do have them in my Amazon store, so if you are looking for some fairy lights, I highly recommend these. They are linked down below. So I'm just going to start placing them inside the jar, and because it is wired, it's easily done. Now I'm going to take this burlap. It's like a net that I got from burlapfabric.com, and I'm just going to place a piece of it right over it and then some jute string, and I'm going to tie it around to secure it in place. And then cut the excess, and this is where things got ugly. I cut the wire. Oh my gosh. I was not happy about this, so I removed the wire. I thought I can just thread the new one through the net. It didn't work, so I ended up removing the net, placing a new set of fairy lights, wrapping it around once again, and now I'm cutting, but I'm being very, very careful not to cut the wire because I did leave the battery pack, as you can tell, hanging on the back. I'm going to secure it with some clear tape to the bottom of the jar, and that's it for this one. I have to say this one is one of my favorites from today. I love the simplicity, but it's so beautiful at night, looks stunning. And as promised, here are some of the projects from today within my own home decor for this summer. The lantern is totally my favorite. Here is the candle jar. I love it. It looks perfect right here next to these candle pillars. And then, of course, I have the I Need Vitamin C right in my entryway. Love the way that wood round is from Dollar Tree, $1.25. I removed the jute string, and I'm just going to give it one pretty heavy coat of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. All right, so I gave it that one coat and I let it fully dry. And then I went outside and grabbed me some sticks. However, the sticks that I found were not good enough. And I remembered that I thrifted a whole bundle of these sticks a while back and I still had it. So I found it and I grabbed one. And then I'm just going to cut them into several pieces and I'm going to start placing them towards the right side of the wood round. I'm going to add some hot glue, and basically I'm going to add hot glue where the stick touches the wood round. Not every part of every stick touches, so I'm just making sure that I add glue where it needs it. And now it's time to start adding some beautiful glass pebbles. I'm going to start with the teal color ones. I'm just going to start placing them in groups of 3s. And then I'm going to use hot glue. Hot glue has worked really well with these projects today. But I will tell you that on some cases, and I'll let you know, I think E6000 would probably work better, or maybe like a fix-all permanent glue, but I'll let you know. But for this case, on this wood round, the hot glue worked perfectly well. So then I added some of the green ones, and then I'm going to add some clear ones, and then do that again with the blue and green. I'm going to use this leftover decal. I'm going to use the part that says Faith. This is from Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to place it towards the bottom of the wood round. I felt like it needed a little something. And what better than to have the word Faith on it. So I'm just going to place it right on there. No extra glue, no top coat needed because this is going to be used indoors. I'm going to use this teal burlap ribbon. I'm going to turn it into a bow and just tie it in the middle with some jute string and hot glue it towards the bottom of the branches. Then I'm going to add one of these leaves. This was left over from a pick that I had. I'm going to hot glue it in the center, and then I'm going to add one of these little pink flowers from Walmart. They come in a bundle. And then I added some jute string to be able to hang it from, and that's it. This one is so beautiful. I love it. I love that the pebbles all look like in 3 little bundles. It's one of my favorites from today. This next Dollar Tree DIY is super fun. I am going to start with some drop cloth, and I'm going to cut a piece that's about 8 inches by 10 inches long. I am then going to fold it in half, and I am going to make sure that both ends are cut nicely straight, and I am doing that using my rotary cutter, a cutting mat from the Dollar Tree, and my square. I am then going to hot glue both ends. Hot glue is plenty sufficient. We're going to make a little baggie to create a portable car tic-tac-toe game. I'm so excited to show you this one. So once it's hot glued, I'm just going to take a Sharpie and my square, and I'm just going to create the tic-tac-toe board. I am then going to inside out the little baggie, and we are going to hot glue the bottom of the bag. While that hot glue hardens, I am going to take 5 blue pebbles and 5 clear ones, and I am going to make O's on the blue ones on the bottom of them, and then X's on the clear ones, all on the bottom. That way you'll still see through them. I am then going to flip the little baggie right side in, and now we have a perfect little bag and we can play. It is such a fun game. I love the way this one turned out, but of course we don't want the pebbles to come out, so we do have to put some ribbon. So I just took a ribbon from Dollar Tree and I'm just going to tie it on the top with a very simple bow that's very easy to tie as well as to untie. And that's it for this one. It's definitely one of my favorites from today. I love the simplicity. I love that you can give this as gifts for families to play. Of course, make sure they are not near babies or toddlers that can choke on them. But I think overall it will make a very great gift and I love it. For the next Dollar Tree DIY, I am going to take this beach wooden sign from the Dollar Tree. Really cute. I love all of their beachy kind of summer decor that they are bringing in, and this was one of them that I grabbed recently. I'm going to give the top of it 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalked paint in the linen white, and I am using a smaller brush to make sure that I'm staying on top and I do not have a lot of drips on the sides. Very easy. Right now we are just going to place some of the teal blue pebbles on the E. I just thought it would be really cute to just do the E with the pebbles, and hot glue was plenty sufficient. These pebbles did not go anywhere. I am then going to distress the edges. I should have done this before I added the pebbles, but I thought about it after and I just thought it needed a little bit of dimension. And so using my sanding block, I'm just going to lightly sand the edges, make sure it's dust free. And I think it's so stinking cute. Now you can do the entire thing with the pebbles. I just thought adding the E would be so beautiful. For the next Dollar Tree DIY, I am going to take this beautiful tropical style flip-flop sign from the Dollar Tree, remove the string, and I'm going to sand it down using my electric sander to remove glitter and also scuff off the surface just a little bit. I dusted it really, really well, and then I'm going to take some of this Elmer's spray adhesive and I'm going to spray the most of it, but I'm just going to leave the top a little bit undone because we are going to be covering it with this craft paper from, I believe this one's from Hobby Lobby. And then I'm going to flip it over and cut the excess using my X-Acto knife. And I'm going to repeat the process on the top of the flip-flop and then of course cover it with some of the leftover craft paper and make sure the entire surface is covered. For this one, we are using the green color glass pebbles, and this is what's going to be the straps of the flip-flops. I thought it would be so cute. It matches the craft paper really, really well. And once again, hot glue was a perfect glue for this project, and I just love the way it turned out. I thought it was just missing something on the top, so I'm going to add some more of those leftover leaves from a pick that I had. I'm going to hot glue 2 of them to the left side of the straps, and then another one of those little pink flowers from the Walmart bundle, hot glue it right in the center. This one, also one of my favorites. I just love them all. But it's so cute. I love it. I love how it's customized and it has such a festive summer vibe. I love it. For the next Dollar Tree DIY, I'm going to take 5, I think it was 6 actually, of the glass pebbles in the clear. And I'm going to start Mod Podging them to this scarf from Dollar Tree. The scarf has some beautiful colors, but I'm going to start gluing them in different areas so that each pebble has a different color showing through. Here's the kicker. Mod Podge did not work. It didn't work because of the material of the scarf. I didn't know that until they were all attached and I realized they didn't glue. So then I tried this tacky glue that I found at Dollar Tree. I already had it on hand and that didn't work either. So then I tried this other tacky glue that I had. This one was clear and nope, it didn't work. So then I went back to, let's just try hot glue. I don't know, would it work? And it worked. Of course it did. This is why we love hot glue, right? Oh my God, this project should not have taken me this long, but it took me forever. So I took 6 new pebbles and hot glue them to different areas of these scarves, and this worked. Now I'm just going to cut them individually, and then I'm going to use my fabric scissors. Once again, guys, if you don't have fabric scissors, they are just a game changer. Anywho, I am going to cut it as close as possible to the bottom of the pebble, so that way you don't see any fabric, and I'm going to do that to all of them. And then it's going to be so stinking cute. I'm going to show you here in a minute. Okay, so now we're gonna add these tiny little googly eyes that my daughter had in her crafting stash. I said, hey, go get me those googly eyes. And I love these. I actually got inspired by one I saw on Pinterest, and I thought I can totally do this with Dollar Tree items. And I just added a little tiny bit of glue, and then I added 2 eyes to each pebble. And some of them I added them right on the front, like on the side, and then some of them I added them towards the little bit of the top. That way they had different dimensions. But I think these turned out so stinking cute. Again, my kids loved them. As soon as I was done taking pictures, they each took 3. And I think these are just so fun. You can also add magnets and have them on the refrigerator for picture holding. For the next Dollar Tree DIY, I am going to make a very simple, and I'm sure you've seen so many done, but I just wanted to try it myself and tell you what I learned from it as well. I'm going to take the teal color glass pebbles in this beautiful vase. It's glass, and it's from the Target Dollar Spot. They come 3 in a pack for about $3, I believe, or 5. And I'm just going to start hot gluing the bottom portion of the vase. Very simple task. Here's what I learned though. Not all the pebbles are the same size, so when you are lining them up, you're going to try to keep in somewhat of a pattern, but eventually it's going to go out of whack because of them being different sizes. So just keep that in mind. But I think overall it turned out really beautiful. I actually kept the side that's not all even towards the back, and it looked very nice. So try it out. For the next Dollar Tree DIY, I'm going to take this baseball. It's a plastic one from Dollar Tree. They come 3 in a pack. And then I'm going to take the green glass pebbles. I'm going to start hot gluing them all over the ball. This was really easy because the plastic actually kind of sort of softens as you put the hot glue on it, and they adhere very, very well. And once again, with this one, is again one of those things where the pebbles are all different sizes. So when you get towards the end, you may have a spot where you can't really fit one pebble, but overall it worked out. Another thing that I learned is that the plastic ball is so light that the ball keep tilting, because then now the glass pebbles are heavy. And it kept tilting on me no matter how I placed the towel, no matter, it was just gonna tilt. So I just made it work. But what I'm trying to make here is a sphere that you can use for decorative paper purposes. You can put it near your decor, you can put it inside a vignette, or maybe a tray, whatever it may be. You use these all the time. I see these all the time on magazines, and they even have some that are wrapped in fabric, some are wrapped in rope. They're very beautiful, and I thought, why not? Let's try with the pebbles. And I think it turned out super cute. Now, I wish you didn't see the white, but because it's white, I think it still works. But let me know what you think down in the comments. For the next Dollar Tree DIY, I'm going to take some of this leftover cutting mat from the Dollar Tree and one of these little just vases from Dollar General. I just like the size of it. I traced a circle around with a Sharpie, and I'm going to cut it because we're going to make a sun catcher. This is another one that I saw on Pinterest, and I was inspired, and I thought it'd be so much fun to place on one of our windows where we have direct sunlight. So I'm going to start hot gluing some of the pebbles. I started with a clear one, and then I'm going to go around with blue ones, and then I'm going to add some green ones here and there, and then I end with some clear ones again. What I learned from this one is that you may need something stronger than hot glue. I thought because the cutting mat has a plastic like feel to it, but it did not. It's more of a vinyl, and the hot glue stuck, but then after a while, some of the pebbles started falling off. So just so that you know, maybe you want to try a more permanent glue like a 6000 or Fix All permanent glue from Dollar Tree. But just wanted to let you know in case you want to recreate, just make sure that you use something stronger than hot glue so that you have a more permanent hold. But nonetheless, it worked out really well. So I finished off, like I said, with the clear one. And of course, we need something to hang it from. So I'm going to use this burlap ribbon from Dollar Tree. It's very beautiful design, but you can use whatever you want. I'm going to hot glue it to the back, just looping it. So then it could be hung on a window or on a door. And I think this one is super adorable. But of course, the day that I did this is like cloudy. So I couldn't show you what it does, but it's beautiful and I love the way it turned out. Items just like this one that have not sell in my booth and it just needed an update. This was an original piece that I did farmhouse style with a beautiful scripture. I then turned into a nautical theme as you saw there with some fabric, and it still was not selling. So we're going to see if third time is a charm. I am going to just paint the whole thing using Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the Serenity Blue. And we're going to paint, I'm going to give it 2 coats, but I'm going to purposely leave the edges a little bit of that white showing as well as a distress showing. Once the paint was dry, I did sand down the edges just a little bit to smooth down these brush strokes that the blue paint left. That way everything looks like it originally was meant to be like this. I love the way that white and distress look on the edges look. Really, really cute. I am going to take this seahorse from Dollar Tree. It's a blank wood piece that you can buy, and for $1.25 you can actually paint and do whatever you want. Today I am going to add some caulk from the Dollar Tree, and basically we're just going to spread it sideways motion. You can do whatever you want if you want to recreate this at home, but the way I wanted to do it was to give it a more sideways motion. So I kept adding caulk until I had it fully covered. Once everything was covered but not dry yet, I took a tool. This is just a Cricut tool, the back of it, and I'm going to do sideways wiggly lines. This is going to give me the seahorse, kind of those sideways lines that it has. Maybe I'm imagining that that's what they have, but in my mind it worked well. Anyways, when everything was dry, I am going to give it just 1 coat, but it's a pretty heavy coat of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white, and you're going to start seeing all that texture pop through because the caulk does dry a little bit clear, so painting it really made all that texture and all those details really pop. Before we move on to attaching the seahorse, I did create this on my Cricut. It's a stencil that was already designed on Design Space. I just cut it as a stencil and it says "Seize the Day." And because we're going with more of a beachy look for this sign, I thought it was perfect. I'm going to use different paints. We're going to use this yellow one by Rust-Oleum Milk Paint. We used a blue one. It's a Coastal Blue by Rust-Oleum Chalk Paint. And then we're also going to use white again in Linen White by Rust-Oleum Chalk Paint. And I'm just using a makeup sponge to apply the stencil. Then we're going to remove everything. I like to remove the stencil when it's still dry. That's just my preference, but you can always let it dry if you prefer. I love the colors. I love that I use multiple tones instead of just using one color. And I think it took this sign to a whole new level. Next, we're just going to attach the seahorse with some hot glue. And that's it. This one is definitely one of my favorites from today. I love the way it turned out. I actually had all intentions on selling it on my booth, but I think I'm going to keep it for this summer. I just love the way it turned out. For the next DIY, I'm going to take this planked home sign. I DIY'd it quite a bit ago, about 2 years ago. And although it was not in my booth, I actually kept it in my home. I am going to try to sell it in my booth. So I am going to cover up the words, the stencil words, with just some chalk paint in the linen white. And I'm just going to paint that little section there and let it dry. Then I'm going to take one of these little garden fences from the Dollar Tree. I'm sure you've seen them. And I'm going to mark where I need to cut. That way it's going to fit perfectly on the bottom of the planked sign. And I'm just using wire cutters to cut the fence, and it works like magic. It really does. So basically, once I had both sides cut, I made sure that the fence looked pretty even on both sides. We're going to use a combination of hot glue and Fix All permanent glue from the Dollar Tree. This is going to give me a permanent hold, but then the hot glue is going to give me a quick hold so that I can move on with this DIY. Once I had the hot glue, it was quickly needing to be put it on the planked board because the hot glue does dry pretty quickly. So I held it down for a little bit, and then I added hot glue here and there where it needed it until everything was nice and secure. Now we're going to take some greenery. These are both from Walmart. I love, actually no, this one here is from Dollar Tree. The other one with the flowers are from Walmart. I did drill a couple of holes on each side of the fence there so that way we can thread some jute string and be able to tie it in the back. I thought this was the best way to attach these florals without having to add a whole bunch of hot glue. So with these little flowers, I absolutely love. They're from Walmart. It's a pretty nice big pick, and it was only $3.47. I don't think that's a bad deal at all. And you get all of these flowers. They're really good quality. I did cut each stem separately because I thought it would be so much better to be able to arrange the florals in the way that is pleasing and just the way it falls really nicely in combination with the other pick. Once I had the flowers where I wanted them, I flipped it over and I tightened the jute string very tightly, and so that way we can make sure that the florals are nice and secure and not going anywhere. This little butterfly is from the garden center at the Dollar Tree. It was beautiful. I'm not going to do anything with it except for maybe cut some of that wire stem, and that way we can thread it right through in between the board and the fence. And it didn't need any hot glue or anything. It was perfect. To finish it off, I'm just going to add one of these leftover sunflowers. I'm going to hot glue it to the center of the stems, and I think this one turned out stunning. It has such a garden feel to it. I cannot wait to sell it. For the next DIY, we're going to take this board that had a decal that said "Get Naked." I did this for a bathroom and it never sold. I guess it was maybe a little too risque for some people. So I'm just going to lightly dry brush some paint over it just because you could kind of still see the words, but only a little bit of paint was sufficient. As you can see, we did not touch any of the distress look. And we also left the knob where it was. I'm going to move the sawtooth hook to the top of the side and add one more because now this sign is actually going to be horizontal instead of vertical. Using my Cricut, I cut out this stencil that says walk, but there's a second part. Just stick with me here. And I'm just going to place it, and we're going to start stenciling it with a chalk paintbrush and the Serenity Blue chalk paint by Rust-Oleum, which I'm so loving. I just love this blue. It's such a beautiful color. Once it is stenciled, I am going to remove the stencil, and then I'm going to hurry it up by doing some heat gun action here, and then we're going to place the other stencil. This one says "Let's go for a," so it'll say "Let's go for a walk," and I'm going to place it right over the walk, and we are going to stencil it this time using Waverly chalk paint and the ink. It's a very dark black color. I am using, again, a makeup sponge to stencil it, and then that's it. We're just going to remove the stencil and reveal it. Now, I did seal this one using Varathane polyurethane in the crystal clear because that way it is going to be nice and sealed just in case it gets some water on it. It's meant to go indoors, but just in case. And I think it turned out so beautiful. I love it. It has a completely different use for it. I love that it's now for pets, and I can't wait to sell it. For the next DIY, I'm going to take this wall planter that I thrifted about a year and a half ago, and all I did when I got it was I dry brushed some of that Serenity Blue chalk paint on it to the front. That's all I did. but it didn't sell. So this time we're going to switch it all up and we are just going to paint with blue. This is the Coastal Blue by Rust-Oleum Chalk Paint, and we're going to give it a full coverage. One coat was sufficient, but it's a pretty heavy coat. I wanted to make sure that it was completely covered. Now remember, these are items that I either had at home or at my booth that never sold. Now, this is to give you some inspiration so that if you have decor at home that needs updated or it just does not fit your style currently, a little bit of paint and some creativity can give you a whole new look. And I hope this inspires you. All right, so we're going to take some Rust-Oleum Chalk Paint in the linen white. We're just going to brighten up a little bit of that board. It was a little dingy and old. I like that look, but maybe some people just don't like it. So we are going to just dry brush it. It's not a full coverage, just to brighten it up a little bit. Using my Cricut once again, I cut out a stencil. This is a nautical compact stencil, and I am going to place it towards the bottom right of the front portion of it, and we are going to stencil it using a makeup sponge, and once again Rust-Oleum Chalk Paint in the linen white. All it took was one coat, nothing more than that, and then remove the stencil. I was a little concerned that the stencil was going to remove some of the blue paint, but it actually didn't. It stayed pretty good. I cut out another stencil that says Lake Erie because we live in Ohio and Lake Erie is not far from here. So I am going to stencil it right in the center where we had that blank space. For the inside, we are just going to add some florals from Dollar Tree. They hang very nicely, which goes very good with this design. I have to say, I'm excited about this one. I hope it really sells now. It is beautiful. For the next DIY, we are going to take this window frame. I actually thrifted this last Christmas and it had this little shelf. It was $12 and I thought I can totally make this into a custom piece. I removed the board from it and I took it out to my garage, spray painted it white, except that when I was spray painting it, it was actually turning beige when it was hitting the iron. So I let that dry, brought it inside and gave it a couple of coats of Rust-Oleum Chalk Paint in the linen white using a brush. Then I went onto my garage and I cut out a few pieces of wood that matched the size of the original board shelf that the piece had, and we created a box using some wood glue and brad nails. Then once the box was created, we're just going to place that original piece that it came with on the bottom. We're going to again use some wood glue and brad nails to attach it. And then we're just going to place it on the bottom of the piece. We did stain it using the Varathane. I think this is the golden oak tone. And then I just screwed it back in with the same screws that it came with. I added at the time some Christmas decor, but it didn't sell. So today we are going to give it more of a summer look. I'm going to hot glue some floral foam from the Dollar Tree and then add some of this reindeer moss, the stinky kind. I don't like this one, but it's what I had on hand. I'm going to start adding some greenery, just some random greenery that I already had on hand from Walmart and some from Dollar Tree. We're just going to start placing it, making it look very natural, very summery, and we're just going to fill the entire box. This is going to look like a flower box on a window. I think it turned out super cute. Now, on the window portion of it, I wanted to add a wreath. Now, I created a wreath recently with a thrifted wreath form, and it was very organic, very summer-like, and it was kind of simple too, so I really liked it. And we're just going to tie it to the window form using some jute string and tighten it very well. And then I decided something was just missing on that wreath, so I just added one faux flower. This is a magnolia flower from Walmart actually, and hot glued it to the center of the design on the wreath, and it is stunning. I hope this sells now on my booth because I think it's just so beautiful. For the next DIY, we're going to take this mail sorter. It was actually wooden tone. I painted it several months ago. I think it was about a year ago. And then I added this design on the front with a stencil, and it just didn't sell. It was kind of staged as a planter more than a mail sorter. So we're going to go back to it, to what it originally was designed for. And we're just going to paint the front, covering the design of the stencil. I did 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalked paint in the linen white, and then I sealed it with a top clear coat. Then using my Cricut, I cut out the phrase mail, then the one that says incoming, one that says outgoing, and then one that says pending. I'm hoping this will make this mail sorter sell. I don't know, does people use mail sorters nowadays anyways? Let me know in the comments. Do you still have one at home? I know we don't here at home, so maybe it'll sell, maybe not, but I think it's worth a try. We're going to start with this beautiful rounded wood piece from the Dollar Tree as well. We're going to tape the bottom portion as well as the top, and we're going to paint the middle in white. I am using Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white, and I am using a brush that is currently one of my favorites. I gave it just one pretty good coat. Remove the tape. I'm going to dry it, speed it up here a little bit using my heat gun, and then we're going to tape the white portion. We're going to paint the top with the Bear chalk paint in the cream, the mint. It's a beautiful, kind of like a minty green color. One coat was sufficient. We're going to dry. Then we're going to use the rub-on transfer. These are beautiful for $1.25. This has a very vintage, very feminine look. I love it. I'm going to fold it in half just to kind of find the middle, and then I'm going to cut it because we are going to transfer it onto the bottom of this wood round. These rub-on transfers are really easy to use. You just remove the back and then you place them where you want to place them. And then you just have to have something harder to be able to rub it on with. I am using this little, it's like a little tiny spatula from Cricut, but you can use anything. You can use a popsicle stick, whatever you may have. And I have found that it's always better to rub and pull. You see how I'm pulling with one hand, rubbing with the other one? Works really well that way. So just a little trick for you. Then we're just going to add the other piece right next to it and do the same thing. Just rub on and then kind of lift as I'm pulling, lift as I'm rubbing, and that'll work really well. Now, I didn't paint low enough with the white, so once I had to transfer it, I did have to put tape on it and then paint that little space there in between the transfer and the white paint, just to make sure everything looks nice and even. And that's it. Just give it that one coat, make sure it was pretty covered, and then remove the tape. Once everything was dry, then it's time to start adding some of the words here. I'm just going to use this leftover decal from the Dollar Tree. You know I love my Dollar Tree decals. I'm going to cut off the ends, but we're going to reuse them here in just a quick second. This Believe has a more of a metallic pink color. I think it worked really well with the transfer because it did have that pink in it. I'm just going to place it right in the center, and then the leftover little wiggly lines, we're just going to place them one on the top, one on the bottom, just to kind of fill in some of that white spots. And it did really well. Once I had that place where I wanted, then it's time to place some jute string. This one I got, I think it was Dollar Tree. Yeah, they have this one with the white. They also have a red and white, and then they also have a blue and white. And I got them all. And this one worked really well for this one. And then we're just going to add some greenery, and we're going to hot glue it. This is from Walmart and nothing fancy. We're just going to put greenery one to each side. And then in the center, I'm just going to place some pink flowers that I got at Dollar Tree, and they're just left over from another project. So I'm just going to cut them really close to the flower and then hot glue them to the center. And that's about it for this one. It's actually one of my favorites, which is probably why I placed it first, because I love the way it turned out. I think it's absolutely stunning. It's very bright, cheery, feminine, and that rub-on transfer, holy smokes, it's one of my favorites. So worth it for $1.25. The next Dollar Tree hack, I'm going to start with this craft paper. This is from one of those booklets that you can find at Hobby Lobby, Michael's. You can find them pretty much anywhere. I'm going to cut a piece here. We're going to make a greeting card. I made a greeting card not long ago using Dollar Tree stickers, and I thought it'd be fun to do one with a rub-on transfer. So I am going to fold it in half, and then I'm going to use another piece of the craft paper, but this time we're going to cut it smaller than the front of the greeting card, and we're going to flip it to the white side. Then this is another beautiful rub-on transfer from Dollar Tree. Holy smokes, it's beautiful. I love the colors, I love the style, and I'm just going to cut off the excess. We're going to save them for another project, maybe in the future, but that's how beautiful this is. You can cut it to the size you need and then save the parts that you're not going to use for another project. Really, really cool. All right, so I'm just going to place that on top. And once again, it's going to be as easy as just rubbing it. And then, of course, I'm going to do the whole lift and rub as I go because it just works really, really well. All right, so now it's time to add some glue to the back of the piece of paper. This is just to make sure that it adheres to the front of the card. And I'm just using this glue stick, but you can use any glue you have on hand. You can even use double-sided tape would work. So I'm just going to place it there, and then I am going to roll it just a little bit just to make sure that it's nicely adhered. Then I'm going to add a little bit of ribbon to the edges. So right where both papers meet, I just thought it needed a little something, and this ribbon came in a bundle from Michael's, and it's just beautiful. This is all I had with this design. Let me tell you, I did not even measure it, but I was praying I would have enough. And little did I know, it was actually perfect size. I was like, this never works like this. But yeah, I had maybe 3/4 of it, not even like a 1/4 of an inch left from the ribbon. Crazy. Anyways, a little bit of glue on the edge, placing the ribbon on top, very easy. These tiny little flowers are from a bundle that I got recently at Walmart. They're having some beautiful summer and spring florals, very inexpensive. Love, love, love these ones. And I'm just going to cut 2 of the smaller ones. And then this little leaf, I'm just going to cut a little smaller, and then I'm going to hot glue it right underneath the flowers. And this greeting card is absolutely stunning. Is another one of my favorites. My daughter actually gave it to her teacher for her last day of school, and it was just beautiful. Love it. Next Dollar Tree hack, we are going to start with this home wooden sign from the Dollar Tree. It was actually from their Valentine's Day decor, and I just had it left over, and I thought it would be pretty cool to do more like a springy everyday decor. I am going to paint it in pink, but first I did sand it down just a little bit because the edges were really frayed. So sand it down with my sanding block, and then using Rust-Oleum chalk pen in their pink tone, I'm just going to do the home portion, and I'm just going to do the front of it. I didn't do the sides at all. And of course, we're going to dry it, speed it up with my heat gun. Then this leftover rub-on transfer I recently used on this wooden home from Target Dollar Spot, and it was beautiful. I had some leftover that I saved, and I'm going to use them today, and we're going to do the heart. So we're not going to paint the heart. We're going to leave it in that natural wood tone, and then I'm going to use whatever I have left over, making sure that the colors are alternating very well. So I want to make sure I have those pinks there to kind of pull from the pink paint, and then of course some blues and other florals. I just think this is just a beautiful rub-on transfer. It's the only one I have left, but as soon as I see more, I am definitely going to buy it because it is beautiful and it's so easy and versatile to use. So again, just basically rubbing on, lifting the page, and then doing it as much or as little as you want. You can actually overlap them if you want to as well. All right, I'm going to grab some Waverly Antiquing Wax and a makeup sponge, and I'm just going to antique distress some of the corners and a little bit of here and there over the words. It's just going to add a little bit of mention and just grunge it up just a tiny bit, and this one turned out absolutely stunning. I can't choose. I like this one too, but look at that transfer with the color. It just looks so beautiful, so fresh. It is stunning. For the next Dollar Tree hack, I am going to make 2 bookmarks. Okay, so I know I made bookmarks recently also, but I've been on a bookmark kick, and I just love to give them away as gifts. And these rub-on transfers are so easy and so perfect for bookmarks. Okay, so I got a piece of scrap craft paper that I had. This floral one is just beautiful. And then this transfer is so cute and actually turned out to be a little translucent. So once I removed the plastic cover, you can actually see some of the flower design from the craft paper, and it was perfect. So I just placed it after I cut the piece of scrap paper to the size of the width of a bookmark. I'm just going to transfer the rub-on transfer and then cut the excess from the top and then angle cut the corners. That way it looks more of a bookmark. Then I'm going to take some of this burlap ribbon from Dollar Tree and I'm just going to cut a piece of it, fold it in half, and hot glue it to the back of the bookmark. And then because I just want it to be a little bit more secure and have a little bit more finished look, I'm going to grab another little piece from that floral craft paper and we're going to cut a piece that's going to fit in the back and we're going to hot glue it to the back. And this is just going to finish it off. It's just going to make it look more professional, cleaner. And then it did have tiny little corners that needed to be cut. So I just cut those. No big deal. And this bookmark turned out absolutely beautiful. But we're going to make another one because this other rub-on transfer is so beautiful too. This one has a black and white look. And I thought this other piece of scrap paper or craft paper is so beautiful with the black and the white. Once again, really easy, rub on, lift as you go. This one wasn't as translucent, but you can still see some throughness a little bit. Again, I'm going to cut it as a bookmark, angle the edges, and then we're going to use a black ribbon for this one. It's a little thinner. Cut a piece, fold it in half. Once again, we're just going to hot glue it to the back, and then we are going to cover it with another little piece of scrap paper. This is again just to make sure it looks finished. And look how beautiful these bookmarks look. I love them. I love making them because it's such a versatile gift you can give to anyone, and who doesn't read? I love it. For the next Dollar Tree hack, I'm going to take these 3 little vases from the Target dollar spot. They were $3 for the bundle. Great deal. I actually thought they were matte, and they turned out to have this little glossy finish to them, which was fine. I got this rub-on transfer because they were so versatile. I love all the designs, and they have that long stripe kind of look. I'm going to cut one of them, and I'm going to place it on the bottom of the larger vase. And these rub-on transfers stuck really well. There's like no forgiving with this one. Once it's stuck, it's stuck. So just be careful when you are placing them on a shiny surface like this because they really stuck really well. There was no like rubbing needed. It literally is like a sticker. I placed it and pulled off the backing and it stuck. Like it was that quick. So for the medium sized one, I placed it on the top, a different design. And then for the smaller, more circular round one, I'm going to cut these thinner ones and I'm just going to place them going instead of horizontally, going vertically. I thought that would be fun to do. So I'm going to cut them in strips that are fitting to the size of the vase. And I'm just going to place them, 4 of them actually, evenly separated. And again, it was really easy. It was a matter of placing them on, rubbing it just a little bit, and then removing it. Look how cute that looks. I did that 3 more times. And these little vases, again, they were $3 for the bundle. So inexpensive. But what I love is that you can use them as a bundle, like I did, and you're going to see in the picture in just a minute. But you can also use them separately anywhere in the house, but still cohesive, and I think it looked really cute. You can also paint them a different color if you want, and then put the transfers on top. I think they're very versatile, but beautiful. Anyways, I'm going to add some of these daisies right on the vases. I think it's going to look really cute and very summery, perfect for summer. We're just going to place a little bundle on each, and that's it for this one. Another beautiful one. This one was so easy. Oh, I can't believe it. I mean, it didn't even need to be rubbed on. It was just so easy. Love it. I am going to do something with this so special. I know you're going to love it. All right. I wiped it off, cleaned it off. It was actually in really good shape. It just needed a quick little wipe. And then I'm going to take some of this Fix All permanent glue from Dollar Tree, and I am going to seal all the edges on the back. this is a picture frame, but I want to use it as a tray instead. So I am going to seal all the edges using this Fix All glue, and I'm going to use one of these little popsicle sticks just to make sure that the glue is getting inside the groove. That way I'm going to have a very strong hold and nothing is going to come off. Once that was dry, I am going to give everything 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white, but only on the wood part. The glass portion on top, like in the center, I'm going to leave as is because we're going to cover that here in just a few. So actually it was 2.5 coats that I gave it, let it fully dry. Then we're going to take these planks. These are from Dollar Tree. They are large like the one you see there, but I had some leftover pieces from a recent DIY, including this one that's already painted and distressed. So we're going to use it. Then I'm just going to cut and measure and move around the pieces until I have my entire center covered and everything's going to have that wooden planked look. I did have to kind of mix in some of these smaller planks from Dollar Tree, but no big deal. We just cut them to size. Now I have them all in place where they need to be, and I'm just going to start painting them. Some in this beautiful Highland Blue by Rust-Oleum milk paint, and some other ones white by Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. The reason why I'm doing it this way is because I want to make sure that I paint them in the color that kind of complements the whole kind of pattern that I'm going with. All right, once everything was dry, I'm going to give all of them the same look that original piece had, the distressed look. So I'm just going to dry brush some of the white on the blue pieces and then let that dry. I did sand the edges just a bit for 2 reasons, making sure that there are no splinters from when I cut them. And then, of course, to soften all of that dry brush technique to make sure that everything kind of blends in very, very well. And I did that on the blue as well as the white. And then it was time to just start hot gluing and gluing them onto the center of my tray. I'm going to use more of that Fix All permanent glue from Dollar Tree and some hot glue. This is going to give me a permanent hold as well as a quick hold so that I can keep going. So I'm just going to keep placing them once again in the pattern that I chose, and we're just going to do this with all of the pieces. Just finishing up, and I'm just placing the last few pieces once again using the Fix All permanent glue as well as the hot glue, and I am loving the way this is turning out. Now I contemplating filling in some of the edges, but then I felt like I would have lost that rustic planked look, so I decided to leave it like this, but I can still do it if I change my mind because I did keep this one. All right, so now we're going to use some of this jute string from the Dollar Tree, and we're just going to wrap the handles. We're going to give it a little bit more of a beachy look, so I'm just going to wrap it, no major technique, basically just wrapping it around and then securing it with hot glue to make sure it's not going to go anywhere. And I did the same exact thing on the other side. Because I want to use this as a tray, I want to make sure everything is sealed. So I'm going to use Minwax polyacrylic, and this is in the I think it's like semi-gloss. I normally use satin or matte, but this is what I had on hand, so I'm just gonna do 1 to 1.5 coats just where it needed it. Then I am going to take some of this felt fabric from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to cover the bottom because the bottom is looking unfinished and just really a hot mess. So I'm going to hot glue it to all of the edges, and it didn't fit a long way, so I'm just going to have to put 2 pieces going sideways, and that did the trick. So again, we're just going to hot glue it on all the edges, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to use my fabric scissors to just trim out the edges to make sure they're nice and seamless. And if you do not have fabric scissors, they're very different from regular scissors. I love it. It's a game changer when you're cutting fabric. So let's move along. So these little felt pads I also get at Dollar Tree. I have these larger ones and smaller ones, but these larger ones are great to cut them in half and place them in each corner, and that way it's not going to scratch any surface. Here is a reminder of what the tray looked like, and here's what it looks like now. I am in love. I love it. It is in my living room and is all together with my summer decor. Perfect. For the next DIY, I'm going to take this shelf. It was one I found about a year and a half ago. I had already done something with it for Christmas and it didn't sell in my booth. So I removed everything from Christmas and I just kept it around because I knew I wanted to do something different. So we're going to do something for summer and I am going to remove the little like shelf that it had. It just had screws. So I removed that. And then we're going to take this Dollar Tree bee. It's like a garden one. And I cut out the stem that it had and I put some black wire from the Dollar Tree around the waist of the bee so I can thread it through the chicken wire and then secure it in the back. And it's not going to go anywhere. So it worked out really, really well. This wire you can find in the automobile section at Dollar Tree. I'm going to take this bundle of greenery pick. This is from Walmart. I love Walmart greenery and I love their florals. They're really good quality, large amount for not that expensive. Anyways, I cut off some of the stem to make it shorter and then I split the bundle into two. So just kind of turn it into like an V almost. And then I'm just making sure that I place the greenery right around the bee just so where things look kind of natural, but also fill in where I wanted. I'm going to take some more of that black wire and I'm going to thread it through the bundle. And then we're just going to thread it once again through the chicken wire and tighten it in the back. We're going to hot glue this sunflower that I already had on hand. And then we are going to take some of these Dollar Tree purple flowers. I just thought they added some bright, vibrant colors and it's just perfect for summer. I am going to just put it right in between each side of the sunflower with some hot glue. And that's it for this one. I think this one turned out so beautiful. I love it even more than the one that I did with this piece for Christmas. This one is vibrant, it's summery, it's fresh, and I just couldn't be any happier with it. For this next DIY, I'm going to take this cedar plank that I also got at the thrift store. And I actually got, I think it was like 3 or 4 of them. And this is my last one. I removed the price tag and we're just going to give it 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white and let it fully dry. Then we're going to do something that I haven't done, but I've seen some creators do it recently and I just wanted to try it myself. I'm going to take some acrylic paint, just some random ones, but I'm going to keep them the same kind of blues, teal kind of color scheme. I am going to add a little bit of black and white. Then I'm going to add a little bit of splash of water just to water it down just a little bit. I did add way too much though. So if you're going to do this at home, just not too much water. So I had to make sure that I stirred until I got the consistency that I wanted. So now I'm just going to start pouring. I think you kind of know where I'm going with this, right? You've probably seen this before. I've never done it myself, so I wanted to try it. I'm going to pour each color one on top of each other, kind of keeping the same kind of curvy look that I'm going for. I want this to have a very summery kind of beach kind of style, I guess. So I'm going to keep pouring all the colors, including the white and the black. And then I'm going to start using my heat gun to start air drying it, or air blowing it, I should say, towards one side, making it look very organic. 2 things I learned. One, that it's best to have a lot more paint. I did not pour enough on my cups. And 2, use a hair dryer and use it in the cold setting. I love the way it turned out, don't get me wrong, but I just wish I had a little bit more paint to drip all the way to one side. But I love the way it looks. Let me know what you think in the comments. A little ladder. I think that's going to be a cool little project. And indeed, I love the way this ladder turned out. Okay, so first thing I did was, of course, remove the price tag. I gave it a quick little wipe, not much needed. And then I'm going to take another one of those Dollar Tree planks, and I'm going to mark where I need to cut and cut 2 pieces. And then using some wood glue, I'm going to place it on the front, on the back. I do not like those hearts. They're very 90s. If you like them, that's absolutely fine. It's just not my style. So I am going to also brad nail it, make sure that it's going to be in place and it's not going to go anywhere. And I did the same thing to the back. I just added some wood glue, placed the plank. This one was a little short because it was a leftover piece, but no big deal. It's going to be in the back. You'll never see it. So I'm also going to secure it with wood glue and brad nails, and that's it. So then we're going to take some of this air dry clay that I recently got on Amazon. I do have it on Amazon, on my Amazon store. Check it out. And also this mold. These mold, I thought they would be bigger In the picture, they just seem bigger. I don't know. And they were tiny, but I'm still going to use them because I've never done this before. And again, just want to try new things all the time. So I'm going to start taking the clay and I'm just going to start filling in the mold the best that I can, pressing in as firmly as I can, and then removing the excess so that on the top, it's nice and flush. Then I had to decide, do I remove them before they dry or after they dry? I decided to do it before. I don't know if that was right. If you're used to doing this mold, let me know. Did I do this right or wrong? I removed them very carefully and I just placed them on this piece of wood and let them dry. It didn't take long to dry, but I did leave them for a few hours because I got busy doing other things. But they did dry pretty quickly. They did not need any heat. Air drying was sufficient. So one of them did split in half, but it ended up working anyway, so I kept them and it worked out really well. So now we're going to attach them while they're still like wet or soft, I should say. Again, I don't know if this is the best technique, but I did like the way it turned out because I was able to kind of move them and bend them and give them a little bit of a curve, I guess, and it worked out really well. So I'm glad I left them and I applied them while they were still soft. So I'm just going to place them using wood glue and just kind of place them a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. But again, I wish the mold would have been a little bigger. I think it would have looked nicer. But nonetheless, this is what I did, and then I let it dry for a couple of hours or a few hours. And then I took the ladder outside to spray it with this satin, it's like a blossom white spray, but I did not have much at all. I thought I had more spray, and not only did I not have enough, but the wood was also absorbing a lot of the spray paint quite heavily. So I just sprayed it the best that I could, and then I just had to bring it inside and just paint it with a different color, actually. I decided to go with that Highland blue, which is just beautiful. It's the Rust-Oleum milk paint. I thought I was going to go white with it. Then I changed my mind and I'm going to do blue. So I am going to give the entire thing 2 coats of the Rust-Oleum milk paint in the Highland blue. Once the paint was dry, then I sealed everything. This time I'm using the Rust-Oleum matte top coat. This is going to do 2 things. This is going to seal in the milk paint, make it more durable, and it's also going to allow me to be able to add the wax that I'm adding right now a lot easier because then I want to remove the excess. This wax is called Best Dang Wax and it's made by Dixie Belle and they have several colors. This one is the white tone and I'm going to use a chalk paintbrush to apply it. And basically I'm just going to apply it over all the piece and then remove it with a rag or remove the excess with the rag. This is going to allow the wax to just be a detail on it. So I started with the front part where all the details were with the little leaves, and then I'm going to apply it all over the piece, giving it 1 coat and then removing all the excess from it with the rag. I am loving how this ladder turned out. It has a complete new look, complete new life, and I just love doing this to pieces that people just don't want anymore. Maybe they don't fit their style, but look how beautiful. And we're going to start with 3 of the larger ones and we're going to make a planked sign. We're just going to remove the jute string from them and then we're just going to line them up and we're going to leave a very small little space in between each plank. Then we're going to take these flat dowels that I get at Amazon. They are on my Amazon store, which is linked down below. We're going to cut them to size and then we're going to hot glue and we're going to use a total of 4 of them. One's going to go on one side and it's going to perfectly cover those holes that the planks come with. Then we're going to place another one on the other end. This is going to be the front of the sign. But I'm also going to place 2 on the back. This is just for more stability. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to hot glue it, 1 on each side, but more towards the middle. Once we had it all done, it's time to just give it 1 pretty heavy coat of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. And I'm going to use this water slide decal paper. You can get it in white or clear or laser or inkjet depending on the printer you have. And this is what it looks like. It looks like regular paper on the back, but on the front it is glossy and you're going to want to print on the shiny side. So on the glossy side is where you want to print it. Once you have picked the design and you have printed them on the glossy side, then you just want to cut off the excess paper on the outside of the design. And then you want to spray it several times with a top coat. I am using the Krylon triple, I think it's like a triple formula, and I sprayed it 3 times very lightly, and that did the work. Just make sure you let it dry in between sprays. Then once you have the design cut and sprayed, you just want to submerge it in water for about 30 seconds to 1 minute, and then you just place it where you want to place it, and then you start pulling the back off of it. And you just take your time and it'll start removing the back, and then you'll have this cool design that just sticks. And you can move it. So it's not like it's going to dry really quickly. Like right here, I'm adjusting it. I'm lifting it up a little bit and just making sure that the bubbles or any wrinkles are out. That's simple. So easy. Once it's dry, you want to seal everything with a top coat, although you don't have to. I prefer it, and I'm using the Rust-Oleum matte top coat, and that's it. I let it dry, and then now we're just going to place some florals here on the left side of the sign. I cut out the excess stem. I am tying them together with some white jute string. I'm going to cut off the excess stems on the bottom of that, and then we're going to hot glue it to the left side of the script there. And that's it. This is such a beautiful design. I love it. This design was already made on Creative Fabrica. I love it. I love the message, and I love the style. For our next Dollar Tree DIY, we're going to take 3 more of those wood planks from the Dollar Tree, and these are the larger ones again, and we're going to paint them. This time we're going to paint 3 different colors. The top one is going to be in this beautiful Highland Blue by Rust-Oleum Milk Paint. The middle one is Country Gray by Rust-Oleum Chalked Paint, and then the last one is going to be in white, and it's my favorite, Rust-Oleum Chalked Paint in the linen white. And then of course we're going to let it fully dry. I am going to distress the planks by dry brushing some paint. Some white paint is going to go on the gray and the Highland Blue, and then on the white plank it's going to be the gray and the blue together. So we're just going to add some distress to them, not too much here and there, and we will be distressing them anyways. And I'm going to use my palm sander. This is just to soften out that dry brush technique, as well as distress the edges just a little bit more for a beachy, more farmhouse look. And then once I had them distressed where I wanted them, it's time to cut them. I'm going to cut them using my miter box, but of course I do have a miter saw that I can use, and it's a lot quicker, but just showing you some options. I cut the gray one into 2 parts, and then the Highland Blue into 3, but I'm only going to use 2, and then I'm going to mark where I want to make some cuts, and that way we'll have a perfectly kind of like a square sign. And then we're going to sand down the edges just a little bit, just to make sure they're smooth and not splintery. And then we're going to take some foam core. This is an old one that I've already used, but we're going to place hot glue on the back of the planks, and we're just going to start hot gluing them onto the board. That way this will serve as the back of the board, but it's something very manageable and quick and easy that we can cut to the size that we need. So I'm just going to use the X-Acto knife here to cut the excess foam core so we have a perfectly trimmed edges. And then after that, it's time to start adding the water slide decal with the design that I found at Creative Fabrica. This is exactly what it looked like, except it was in color. It's beautiful, but I decided to do it with the grayish tones. And then once again, I'm just gonna, after I submerged it in water, I'm gonna place it where I want it, remove the back, and then it's just like the name, water slide. You just want to slide it off and then adjust it to where you want it and smooth it out with your fingers, making sure that all bubbles, or as many bubbles as possible, are not there. Once it's dry, we're going to seal it once again with the Rust-Oleum matte top coat and let that dry. I'm going to take one of these Dollar Tree little garland. It's so beautiful. It's like a beachy kind. It has the little wood beads and the little starfish ones. And then we're just going to tape it to the back, and that's it. This one is such a beautiful one. It has such a summer feel. It has a beachy, relaxed look, and that Creative Fabrica design is stunning. I love it. For the next Dollar Tree DIY, we're going to take 4 of these smaller wood planks from the Dollar Tree. We are going to fill in the holes with some wood filler, and that's because we don't want to see those holes on this one. And then we're going to, while that dries, we're going to dry fit the wood planks here because we want to cut the sides one. So I'm just going to dry fit it and kind of make a mark with the pencil on where I need to cut. And that way I'll know I can take it to my miter, either my miter box or my miter saw, and then we're going to cut 2 of them, 1 for each side. Then we're going to sand down that wood filler as well as the edges so that everything is nice and smooth. And then it's time to place everything together. We're going to use some hot glue. This is really easy to create a box with these planks because these planks are very lightweight. Recently I did another wood box similar to this one, but I used real thick wood, and I used brad nails and wood glue. But for something smaller, this is perfect to use these Dollar Tree planks, and hot glue is sufficient. We have the 2 larger sides already on them. We're placing one side here with hot glue, and we're going to do the same thing to the other side. And once I had everything put together, it's time to just give it 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalked paint in the linen white, and we're going to do the inside of the box as well as the outside for a finished look. And then once again, we're going to use my design from Creative Fabrica. Now this one was a font that I used from Creative Fabrica, and then I typed it out on a Word document after I downloaded the font, and then I printed it in the water slide paper. And as you can see, you can move it around if you need to, and then just make sure that you straighten it out and remove any wrinkles from the design. Once it was dry, I sealed everything once again with the Rust-Oleum top coat. Let that dry. We're going to add some floral foam here from the Dollar Tree just inside the box because we're going to add some florals and we want to make sure that everything is put together. So we're going to add the foam to fit all inside of the box, and then we're going to start adding some florals from Walmart. These are they kind of look like baby's breath, but they're not. They're just these tiny little white flowers. I think they're so stinking cute. We're just going to start adding them all around the edges of the box, and then we're going to add some sunflowers that I already had on hand and I used at a different project. We're going to add 3 of them. We're going to just put them right inside, and that's it. This one is beautiful. I love the farmhouse style. I love that it's so summery with these sunflowers, and look at that font, how beautiful, from Creative Fabrica. For the next Dollar Tree DIY, we are going to take another one of those smaller planks, and I'm going to fill just 1 of the holes, let it dry, and then give it 1 coat of Rust-Oleum chalked paint in the linen white, both in the front and the back. I did drill another hole to match that other one that we left open on the other side of the wood plank. I used Creative Fabrica font to type out this occupied and available words, submerged them in water, and then, as you can see, applied them to the board and sealed everything with the Rust-Oleum top coat, just like I did with the other designs. Now we're going to take some of these Dollar Tree chains. These are like the planter hanger chains, and I'm just going to use 1 of the chains and then 2 of the clips. We're going to open up the clip a little bit because we want to slide it through the holes. That way the sign can hang. This is going to be a little occupied or available sign for my bathroom door. I created this sign about 2 years ago maybe. So we're going to add one of these little hooks right underneath. You just kind of screw it in. It's really easy. And then we're going to hang the sign there. And I think it's so stinking cute. So this one says occupied, but you can flip it and then it'll say available. And I just think it's so adorable. I love the way it turned out. All right, for the next Dollar Tree DIY, we're going to take 3 more of those larger planks, and we are going to fill in the holes on just 1 of the planks with some wood filler, let it dry, and sand it. Then we're going to take the other 2 planks, and we're just going to start putting them, kind of just dry placing them, dry fitting them where I want to see them, and marking where I need to cut. And then I took them to my miter saw and cut them. The larger plank I am going to paint with the Coastal Blue by Rust-Oleum chalked paint. I'm going to give it just 1 coat. The medium-sized plank I am going to use the Rust-Oleum chalked paint in the linen white. And then the smaller plank, I am going to tape because we're going to make stripes. This is going to be a patriotic American flag firecrackers. That's a long title for this DIY. So anyways, I'm going to tape some stripes and then paint the red stripes with the Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the Farmhouse Red. Then I'm going to let that dry. I am going to tape the red lines and then paint the white stripes with the Linen White color by Rust-Oleum. And then of course remove the tape to reveal the beautiful stripes from our flag. Then after everything was dry, I'm just going to sand down the edges just a little bit, just to give it a little bit of dimension and a little bit more of a character, I guess. I'll do that on all 3 planks and then dust them really, really well. Using my Cricut, I cut out some white stars and I'm just going to start placing them on the blue plank. And basically it's just placing them. I'm just staggering them on where they are placed, but there's nothing magical about this. We're going to place them all the way down to the bottom of the plank. Once I'm done placing them, I'm just going to flip it over and I am just going to cut the excess or the ones that are overlapping on the edge so we have a cleaner edge. Because these are firecrackers, we want to add something to the top to mimic the little string. So we're going to use some of these wired jute string from the Dollar Tree. We're going to tape it to the back of each plank. Nothing fancy is sufficient. We're not going to be pulling it in any way. And then we're going to stack the firecracker. So each plank is going to be kind of one on top of each other. And we're going to use this double-sided tape. This is from Artisa. They sent it to me, gosh, it was probably like 3 years ago. And it's just a double-sided and it's very strong adhesive. So I'm going to place 2 strips of this tape, remove the red little strip, and then of course I'm going to place each plank on top of each other. This is going to not only keep them on top of each other, but it's going to create a 3D effect so they are a little bit lifted from each other. Although you can just hot glue them to each other flat, one on top of each other, and that's fine. I just wanted to add a little bit of dimension, and that is why I'm adding these strips of tape and doubling it up. So here I'm just placing the last one on top of it. I think it's just so beautiful. I'm going to take a pencil and just curl the jute string with the wire inside. That way it's not just straight up. It just has a little bit of a curl. And then that's it. Such a beautiful patriotic DIY. I love it. 3 planks from the Dollar Tree, $1.25 each. And you have a beautiful design. I love it. First Dollar Tree hack, we are going to start with this planter. It's just $1.25, which is a pretty good deal, and I love the color. These flip-flops are a children's size medium, and you can do any size, just depends on the pot that you use. So this size was perfect for it. I'm going to add some hot glue to the front, and we're going to hot glue the first flip-flop. I did have to hold it for a little bit. It's not instantly, but it'll stick nonetheless because the flip-flop is really light. I added more hot glue on the other side and then held the other flip-flop until it was strongly attached. We're going to take one of these sunflowers from Dollar Tree. They're just left over from a pick. And I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue. I did cut off the stem really close to the flower so that then I can hot glue it right in between both flip-flops. Then I'm going to just place the little petals right underneath the straps of the flip-flop. That way you can still see the flip-flop straps, but also the sunflower. And I think this is stunning. I love it. I put some flip-flops. I think it'd be cute like by a pool, but also as a planter on my porch. Gorgeous. For the next Dollar Tree hack, I am going to start with this medium size wire wreath form from the Dollar Tree. And then we're going to bring a ton of flip-flops. How fun are these though, right? They're so colorful. Okay, so I got 6 pairs and they're all very summery, kind of complement each other in the color, and they're all children's size. Again, if you're going to do a larger one, maybe you want to pick larger adult size. So here I'm just dry fitting all the flip-flops to kind of see how I want to put them. Now I'm cutting about 3 to 4 inches strips of this wire. You can find this at Dollar Tree in the car or automobile section. I'm going to use a tiny little screwdriver to poke a couple of holes on the flip-flop, and then I'm going to thread the wire through those little holes, and this is how we are going to attach the flip-flops to the wire, because if you hot glue it, Believe me, I tried. It's just not, it just spreads everywhere and it doesn't really attach. So wire is the way to go. Another way you can do is possibly maybe adding some maybe foam to the wreath, but I think it's just too much. I think just wiring it to it is perfect. For the ones on the bottom, I actually added 2 wires. So I poked them twice and then make sure they attached very, very well. And that way the flip-flops are not tilting back and forth. And I did that to all the ones on the first level of the flip-flops. All right, so this is where I'm at. I've got the first 4 initial flip-flops. Now I am going to start adding some of the ones that are going to kind of overlap. And I'm just kind of eye out where we're at with how many. I know I have enough, but just so that all the colors are all nicely staggered, I guess is the word I'm looking for. And I have no repeat colors together back to back. But now we're going to place the solid pink ones. And we're just going to place them right in between some of these. And that way we have no same colors together. So they're all different. So I think that's looking really good. I'm not worried about the space because we're going to add something. So I think that's pretty good. For the second level, I'm still poking holes, but I'm only adding 1 wire, and that seemed to work really well. Also because I am going to hot glue each flip-flop to each other. So anywhere where you see a flip-flop where it overlaps the next, I added just a little bit of hot glue, and that way it was secure and hardened. Now I'm going to take some of these florals from Walmart. This is a larger pick, so it's just more bang for my buck, but you can certainly find some beautiful florals right now at Dollar Tree that you can place. And I'm just going to place 1 small little pick. I'm adding some hot glue to the bottom and then placing them in between each flip-flop. And here's me showing you how I added just a little hot glue. A little goes a long way. Again, these flip-flops are very lightweight, so a little bit is fine. And then it's time to add something to the center. So I found this floral. It's like a wind flower, you know, like they'll spin in the wind. And I removed the stem or the wire stem that it had, and then I hot glued it to the flip-flops. I just added a little bit of hot glue wherever the petals touched a flip-flop, and that seemed to work. Again, it was very light. I'm going to add another one of the sunflowers, cut the stem very close to the flower, added some hot glue, and then placed it right in the center. I think it's so cute. All right, so this is where we're at. Now I could either stop here or I could add some more greenery over here, and I will, just to cover up some of the wire that you can still see. But I think it's going to look cute anyway, and the greenery that I'm going to use is very light, just airy, so it's not going to be too heavy. I think it's actually going to look really cute. These faux grassy stems I do get on Amazon, and these are there. But look how beautiful this wreath is. I seriously can't stand it. It is also pretty lightweight, so it works really well. But I just love the colors, and I love how summery it is. I think this one is my favorite today. For the next Dollar Tree hack, I'm going to take 3 pairs of flip-flops, and again, they're going to kind of complement each other. These are adult sizes in the medium, I believe, and I'm just going to start keep them in pairs, but just switch which pairs with which. And then once I had them in a pattern that I liked, I'm going to place one of these larger paint stirring sticks. These are the 25-gallon ones, and I'm just going to align them right on top and then hot glue the flip-flops. Again, the hot glue and the foam of the flip-flop as well as the wood really attached really well to these sticks. So I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I thought maybe I can also staple them, but then you'd be able to see the staple. So I'm glad the hot glue worked really well. All right, so after I attach the last one, it's time to add some letters. I'm going to use these letter decals from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to spell the word summer, placing 1 letter on the bottom of each flip-flop. The issue that I found was that the stickiness of them was not sticking very well to the material of the flip-flop. So here I am noticing that I am placing them but they're not sticking very well. So I'm quickly realizing that I'm going to have to add just something else to the letters. And I have an adhesive spray, and it's an Elmer's, and I did get it at Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to spray the back of them and place them again in the front, and that worked well. I'm going to place some of this nautical rope from the Dollar Tree, and once I had the length that I wanted, I'm going to add some tape to the end of it, and then I'm going to cut them right in the center of the tape. This is going to allow the rope to stay in place and not fray on me. I'm going to staple it in place using my electric stapler. Although you can probably hot glue it, and should work well, but stapling worked really well. And look how beautiful this one is. Just another very unique, very custom, and I love the colors. Perfect for summer. For the next Dollar Tree hack, we're going to start with this summer sign from Dollar Tree. It's already very summery, but we're going to use it and customize it to what we want. I'm going to remove the little shell that was on there, remove some excess paper that kind of peeled off, and now I'm going to quickly sand down just to rough it up and smooth it out, and then make sure that it was completely dust free. I'm going to add 1 coat of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white, and we're just adding 1 because we're going to add a second coat with a beautiful blue tone. It is called the Highland Blue, and it's actually Rust-Oleum milk paint. So once I dried it out with the my heat gun, I am just going to dry brush some of that blue. Isn't that beautiful? And we're dry brushing it because we want to keep that little beachy, distressed look that it originally had, but of course we wanted to cover up the words that was on it. So I'm just going to keep dry brushing it until I see what I like. And the beauty is you can do however much you want or however little you want. Once it was dry, I'm going to hot glue some more of that nautical rope to each end of the sign. We're just going to hot glue the front, and then we're going to add more tape. This is again so that the ends don't fray, and then we're going to cut right in the center of the tape. And then we're just going to hot glue the 2 small ends to the back of the sign, and we did the same thing on the other side. All right, now it's time to add the flip-flops. These are a beautiful print. I used some earlier, and we're just going to hot glue again the pair to the left side of the sign, and some hot glue was plenty sufficient because again, these are very lightweight and the foam just really attaches very well to the hot glue. All right, so now using my Cricut, I cut out the phrase, "Here comes the sun," which I thought is very appropriate. And if you do not have a Cricut, of course, you can use a decal from Dollar Tree. I couldn't find any nice summery decals at the Dollar Tree, so that's why I had to use my Cricut. But if you find one, you can certainly put right there on that left or right side of the sign. But look how beautiful it turned out. It still has that beachy original look that the sign had, but this one's custom with the flip-flops. I love it. For the next Dollar Tree hack, we're going to take this beat up old board that I have no clue where it came, but you can tell it's had some rough days. It was dirty, it was dingy, it was awful. So I sanded it down, then I added some spick and span from Dollar Tree, and I wiped it really well. Look at that. Ugh, it was nasty. It was so bad. So I cleaned it until everything came off of it in the sense of like nothing else was coming on the towel. Then I'm going to use some white paint here. Now, I normally use chalk paint, as you probably know, but this time I wanted to use an exterior flat paint because it's going to be outdoors, and I kind of want to make sure that it is very, very durable, and it's going to last us a summer long. So I am going to sand down the edges, and I'm going to love the fact that that red is popping through because we are going to make another, of course, another flip-flop hack, but this time they're going to be like in this blue and red. So the red popping through the white was perfect. These one have a little bit more of a nautical feel, and I'm going to keep them paired with the original pair. I am then going to take a small screw, and I'm just going to screw it one on each flip-flop. The screw is perfect because the board is solid wood and it's thick enough to be able to screw it into. I am now going to pre-drill one hole on the bottom of each flip-flop, and this is just pre-drilling it so that when we attach some hooks, it is going to be easier to screw it in. So these little hooks I also have on my Amazon store. They come in a little box and they come in like 3 or 4 sizes, and these are the larger ones in the box. I love them. They have like a rubber coating on them. And it works really well to be outdoors because we're making a towel hanger. It could be a towel hanger, it can be a place where you can hang wet clothes, whatever it may be, it will work really well. So I'm just going to take some of these nautical rope that I recently found at Dollar Tree. They're blue and beigey, kind of like whitish. And then I did add 2 sawtooth hooks to the back. And I think this one turned out absolutely beautiful. I love that it has a little bit more of a nautical look, but I think it'll work at the beach, by the pool. Just awesome, awesome. You can hang towels, like I said, or you can hang anything else you may want from them. This metal planter goes on the wall. It's a hanging one, and I got for a couple of dollars at the thrift store. Through the years, I've updated that here and there, and I added this decal from the Dollar Tree. It's a scripture one. I really like it, but it's just time for a change. So I'm going to remove it, but I'm going to show you how stuck this decal is. I know many of you have asked me, does your decal stick really well to your surfaces? This is an example. Yes, as long as the surface is prepped and painted matte and or no greasy stuff, I mean, as long as it's prepped, it's gonna stick. All right, so I sanded down just a little bit the stickiness that was left behind and then wiped it really, really well. I'm going to use one of these reusable stencils from A Maker Studio. It's beautiful. I know I've shared with you a little bit about A Maker Studio's reusable stencils. I have used them now for a few months, and I just love them because you can reuse them. For example, this one I have used about 2 or 3 times already, and it still sticks, and it's just still awesome. I'm going to use their chalk paste in the black, and then I'm going to use something different. Normally, you would use a squeegee to squeegee on the paste. This time, I'm going to take my chalk paint brush, and I'm going to start dabbing it and kind of like rubbing it onto the stencil. At this point, I don't know if it's going to work. I've never done this before, so I'm a little nervous, but I like to try new things. So as I pull off the stencil, I see some blotchiness here and there. I want to give you a close-up on what the details look like. So originally, I was hoping it would look all like that. See, it's like a shadow, very subtle. But of course, I understand why we have the darker spots, because when I was dabbing the first, when I first dabbed with the ink or the paste, you would get those. But that being said, I actually don't mind the overall look. I think that it gives it more of a distressed look. And I think overall, I really love it. I'm going to add some floral foam from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to stick it in there. It's about half a block. And then I'm going to take some of these Walmart florals. Recently, I went to Walmart and got a ton of florals. And I'm so excited that I did because I found some really good deals. And they're really good quality. I love Walmart florals. I love Dollar Tree. But you can find some really good gems, really inexpensive at Walmart. So I took 2 picks of this faux boxwood, cut off all the little branches and just stuck them in there until it looked nicely separated and evenly. And then I took some of these white ones, and this is also from 1 pick, and I cut them off separately and I stuck them in there. And look how beautiful it looks. It's hanging on my kitchen. It needed this update, and I love it. I love that I kept it. For the next Walmart DIY, I'm going to take these 3 wooden utensils. They're actually really large. I got them about a year ago now, and I never did anything with them, and I just couldn't find the right thing. And today, I have it. So I am going to stain them using Rust-Oleum chalked glaze in the brown tone. It's a wonderful way to stain wood because it doesn't have the strong scent, and it works really, really well. I'm just going to give it 1 full coat. It's water-based. I didn't really even need the gloves because it does wash off easily from your hands, but I didn't want to ruin my manicures, so I put on gloves. Anyways, this is an older sign that I made a long time ago for winter after Christmas, And I had it laying around. I knew I wanted to do something else with it. And then I finally said, okay, today's the day. I am going to switch it into a kitchen decor. So I'm going to dry fit the wooden pieces to the left hand side of the sign. And then you see my Cricut, I cut out this little chef's heart and I'm going to place it towards the top. Once that's in place, then I'm going to take a phrase that came with the design on the sign space on Cricut, and it says best cook ever, and I'm going to place that on the bottom underneath the chef's hat. So I'm just finishing up applying the decal and I'm just making sure that it's really stuck on there. And then it's time to start applying or putting on the wooden pieces. I'm just going to make sure that the pieces are separated evenly. And then I'm going to attach them using brad nails and my Ryobi brad nailer. And I am using 1-inch brad nails. So I'm just going to make sure that everything's on there. I also made sure that I added 2 sawtooth hooks to the back. And look how cute this looks. I can't wait to sell it. I'm going to put it on my booth for sale because I don't have the room for it, but I love it. For the next Walmart DIY, we're actually starting with a Dollar Tree item. So we are going to take this board. This is a sign. It's recent. It's from like a patriotic, more of a Memorial Day theme, but we are going to cut off the star portion of it. I used just a blade knife. I scored it and then I snapped it off and then sanded it off. And I'm going to do the same thing once I find the halfway point or almost the halfway point. I scored it, snapped it, and then sanded it down to make sure that I have 2 pieces that are almost equal size. And then it's a matter of just making sure everything is sanded down nice and smooth. I am going to drill a couple of holes on the top. I'm not going to measure anything. I'm just going to eye them out. And I am using my Ryobi drill. I'm also going to take these Walmart wooden farm animal pieces. I've had them forever and a day. I just never knew what to do with them. And today I got inspired and I said, you know what? I am going to use these Walmart pieces. They were so inexpensive and they are so stinking cute. I highly recommend you visit Walmart's craft section. It is actually really good. You can find some good pieces. These for just over $1 each. Good deal. Look how cute they are. I just hot glued them to the boards, added some jute string, and now I have these cute little pieces that I absolutely love. For the next Walmart DIY, I am going to take these little pieces of fabric. They come in bundles. If you've never seen them at Walmart, they are going to be in the fabric section. And they come in bundles of like 4 or 5 of them. I love buying these. You can do so much with them. Through the years, I've just had a few that I've bought. And then I use a little bit or I use them up and I buy more. Just awesome. Anyways, I cut up a piece of poster board in a 4x4 square, and then I'm going to open up and iron out some of these fabric. This is a beautiful blue tone with white, and then I'm going to use the poster board square and use as a guide, and I am going to make sure that I have 2 sizes of the poster board. So I want to make sure that my poster board square fits within the piece that I'm cutting 2 times. And it'll make sense here in just a minute. We are making a bookmark. I've been in this bookmark kick. I love making bookmarks all of a sudden. I don't know why, but I do. So I'm going to cut out another piece. This one's going to be just a smaller piece. And as you can see, I make sure that I cut them about 3/4 of an inch larger on each side of the poster board square. Now I'm just going to fold the sides and then we're going to iron them out to make sure that those seams are nicely ironed and that they're going to stay down for me as best as possible. And I'm going to iron it all the way to the top and it's going to make sense. It's easier to see than it is to explain. So I'm going to let you watch for a quick second here. So see, not hard. We're just going to fold it over and we're going to keep it like that for a quick second. Okay, so now we're going to take some of this fabric iron on tape. So it's just the kind of tape where you use on seams and you can iron it on and then have a nice tightened seam without having to sew. It's one of my favorite things. I use hot glue too, but this one stays a little thinner, flatter. So I'm going to cut one of the strips of tape into halfway so I can have thinner strips. And then I'm going to make sure that I have each side, I have a little strip to fit. And then I'm just going to iron it on and making sure that it sticks. For the other side, for the other little square, I'm going to again fold and iron all of the edges. Now I'm going to angle cut all the edges. This is just so that when I fold, it's not so thick on the edges. And then as you're going to see here, I'm going to fold it to where I have a triangle. Okay, are you following? And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to add some of that fabric tape, iron, and make sure that it's all stuck together. So now we're going to attach the triangle to the square, and this is where we're going to create that pocket. I don't know if you've ever seen these bookmarks. You can find many inspirations on Pinterest, so check it out on the Pinterest app. So there I just added the fabric tape, and now we have a beautiful bookmark. I love this one. It's one of my favorites from today, believe it or not. Again, I'm just in a bookmark kick. A few years back, I updated our guest bathroom over here, which is just a upcycled window that I got on Facebook Marketplace. And recently I realized I still had my fall wreath right up there. So it's time to update it. So here's the bundle of flowers that I recently got at Walmart. Some really good quality. And I just love that they weren't really inexpensive. A lot of these were really pretty big bundles. And I got them for about $3.40, which is not really bad at all. And they're just some good options for you. All right, so here's the wreath that I had in my bathroom. I can't believe I never changed this even during Christmas. Like, what's wrong with me? So I removed the little baby's breath and the pumpkins that I had. And then I found this, it's like a greenery vine at Five Below. It was $5 and it's magnolia leaves. But it was so scrunched up. I didn't realize how scrunched up it was until I removed the paper kind of like backing that it had. These leaves were scrunched up. I wasn't sure if it was going to work out, but we're going to keep trying. So I'm going to just wrap around in and out the new vine within the older one. I just want to make sure this wreath has a thicker and fuller look to it. As I'm doing it, of course, I am making sure that it keeps a round shape and also working on those leaves to see if I can like straighten them. It was a hot mess. All right, this is the Walmart pick that we're using today. Aren't these beautiful? Now you can find something similar at Dollar Tree. It's going to be smaller, so you're just going to have less little branches. But I mean, overall, I just think the quality and the size was good for the price. It was about $3 again and 40 cents. So I'm just going to cut different little branches from the floral pick, and we're going to add some hot glue and push them in, and they're all going to be facing one way. I'm just going to go all around. Then I took some of those leftovers magnolia leaves from the new vine, and we're going to hot glue some of them here and there to cover some of the hot glue, to cover some of the holes that you see. We just want to make it clean and have it nicely full for our bathroom. And I love it. Oh my God. So the leaves are still looking a little wrinkled, but I think over time with the moisture from the bathroom, it's going to get better. But look how beautiful this looks. We are kicking it off with these colorful flowers, and they are not the colors that I want on my home decor. It's not the ones that I use. So what we're going to do is we're going to paint them. We're going to give them one coat over Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white, let that dry, and then we're going to start using a combination of different colors of blues. They are kind of like teal colors. Two of them are from Rust-Oleum, and then one of them is from Bear. They're beautiful colors. They really complement each other. That's what I wanted to do. So we're going to do one stripe, or one row, I should say, of one color, then the next row a different color, and so on and so forth. Now we're going to take one of these vases at Dollar Tree. You can find these all the time. They have even smaller ones as well. And I'm going to start placing the flowers. They have a little sticky in the back, and they stick pretty well to the glass, actually. I made sure that the glass was clean and dust free. And then I'm just going to place them all towards the front of the vase. Here's why. The flowers on the back are still very colorful. So we want to make sure that the flowers are only placed in the front of the vase. That way it's facing the front. And of course, they're just stuck on here with sticky sticker. You can remove them, and that's the beautiful thing. Once you remove them, you have a vase that you can use in any other decor, any other season. But I'm just going to start lining them kind of like going upwards, and I think it turned out gorgeous. I love it. Such an easy project, such an easy hack way to use these stickers. Our next Dollar Tree hack is going to be with these little mug from Dollar Tree and these stickers from water bottles. They're actually water and heat resistance. At least that's what it says on the sticker. I have not tried it. I don't think they're dishwasher safe, but it can hold heat from the, from the mug. And of course it can get wet so you can wash them. So we're going to use the one that says always time for coffee, I believe it said. And we're going to place it right in the front. Again, we're going to make sure that the glass is dust free and it is grime free. We want to make sure that it sticks really, really well. So we're going to stick it right inside. And I thought it would be a really great idea to use this little mug as a little like gift. So I thought let's use one of these Dollar Tree masks that we can place right inside and then add some of these beautiful flowers from the Dollar Tree. They're pink. I'm going to leave the little green leaves and I'm going to place 3 of them right inside, and it would be so stinking cute. It would be great just the mug, but I think adding the mask inside just added that extra touch. I think is absolutely stunning. For the next Dollar Tree hack, we're going to start with this board that I got at the thrift store. It was only 99 cents and it's solid wood, and I thought it was a pretty good deal. We're going to remove the back hooks because we're not going to use it horizontally. We're actually going to use this one vertically. I'm going to give it 1 coat of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. All right, so we are going to take the sanding block and we're just going to sand down the edges, just the edges, very slightly for a farmhouse look. Once the paint was dry, I'm going to wipe it really, really well because we want to make sure that the stickers are going to stick. So you do not want any dust. These butterfly stickers are beautiful. They're like 3D. I can't believe they're $1.25. I seriously think it's one of the most beautiful stickers I have seen. So we're going to start placing them upwards on this board. We're going to start with some of the larger ones, and then we're going to make our way up to these smaller ones. Now they're just 2 sizes, large or small, but I'm just going to make sure that they're also color wise are going to be staggered, and just use kind of like common sense and just kind of see what that looks pleasing to the eye. So we're just going to do that, and that's it. Such an easy way to use these butterflies. You can use them on birthday cards, of course. You can use them on paper crafting, but I think using them as decor is just absolutely beautiful. I love the way this one turned out. So fresh, so kind of like summery, beautiful. For the next Dollar Tree hack, we're going to take this wooden house that I had for a long time now. I got this one probably about 2 years ago at the Target dollar spot. It came, I think, 2 in a pack. And I'm just going to give it 1 light fresh coat of white paint in front. The back, it still has that distressed look, so we can always turn around and use the back as is. But the front now has a fresh white coat. We're going to take these rub-on stickers that again you can find in that sticker area, and we're just going to start pressing them. So the way you do these rub-on ones is just start pressing them with something hard. You can use a popsicle stick. Right now I'm just using the back side of this Cricut tool, I don't know, and I'm just placing them where I think they're going to look nice all over the front side of the wooden house, and that's it. Again, it can't get any easier. Now, I didn't even have to paint the house. It was just by choice because I just wanted it to have a brighter, fresh look. But overall, adding these rub-on transfers just added so much freshness. It is beautiful, it is trendy, and I love the way it turned out. For the next Dollar Tree hack, we are going to take some of this craft paper. It is from Hobby Lobby, I believe. It's one of those that comes in a book. And I love the design. I like the pink and striped look that it has. So I'm going to cut a piece of it because we're going to make a bookmark. So I cut it to a size where I think a bookmark would have. And then I'm going to angle cut the top, just the top. And then we're going to make a hole right on the top with my crocodile, which I also have on my Amazon store. The stickers that we're going to be using are these set. It's like a happy birthday set, but it has these little flowers. First of all, the set is beautiful. Once again, just awesome price for $1.25. You just can't go wrong. So I'm going to grab some of the floral ones. I'm going to place it right on top. I'm going to take the same one and we're going to just place it a little tilted on the bottom. And then we're going to take the one that says thank you and we're going to place it right on top. I think that it'll be a great little gift for like a teacher or a best friend or whomever, mom. I just think it would be a really great gift as a bookmark. So we're going to add some of these ribbon. This is just part of a bundle that I got at Hobby Lobby, or no, Michael's. It was just a bundle of black and white ribbon. This one had a very unique design. So I cut 2 strips, threaded through the hole, tied it in the knot in the front or in the top. Just 2 knots was fine. Make sure that at the ends were cut all to the same size, and that's it. So easy. You can make this with any paper you have, cardboard, any other craft paper. I think it's absolutely beautiful. For the next Dollar Tree hack, we are going to take more crafting paper. This is from the same bundle, the same book that I got the other one from. This one we're going to cut to about maybe 8 inches, something like that. And we're going to fold it in half. We're going to make a card. So this rub-on transfer says, dream until your dreams come true. And such an easy one. We're just going to place it toward the bottom right corner of the greeting card. And once again, it's as simple as just basically rubbing it on and making sure that it's on there. So I did add one more of those floral stickers from the previous set, and I think this turned out so pretty. My daughter actually gave it to her teacher for Teacher Appreciation Day, and I love it. For the next Dollar Tree hack, we're going to take this little mini grapevine wreath that I have had for a while. I actually had decor already on it. I ripped it off because it just didn't need it anymore. And I'm going to start adding some of these greenery picks that I got of a larger pick, and I just cut them into little individual branches. And we're going to hot glue as well as stick them in there as tight as we can. We're going to get the decorations on the right side of the wreath. And we're going to sell this one on my booth, so I want to make sure that it's secure and is not going to go anywhere. We're going to add some of these pink Dollar Tree florals. I think they're beautiful. Are they daisies? They look like daisies, but I don't know if daisies come in pink. Let me know. And then after I place the florals, these golden metallic feathers are beautiful. They have little tiny stickers, but we're not going to use them as stickers. We're actually going to add some of these skewers sticks. I just cut in smaller pieces, and then I just hot glue them to the bottom. That way we can stick them inside the wreath. Now, I did change it later on, and I started adding leftover floral stems because they're flexible. You can bend them, and they're also thinner. So it worked out really well. You can see it there. So there's just a better hack for you. So once I added the feathers where I wanted them, that's it. Such an easy hack to use these feathers the way I used them. Of course, you can use them on paper, on crafts, whatever else you want. But I thought adding them to this wreath is just absolutely beautiful. The next Dollar Tree hack is so easy. It's one of these kind of like a beachy themed mason jar or glass stickers, and we're just going to place them on this beautiful shaped vase from Dollar Tree. And we're going to start again with the larger ones on the bottom because that's where the larger part of the vase is, and we're going to work our way up and then go with like medium size all the way to small ones until we get to the top one. We're also going to remain in the front of the vase again. I just want them all to be in the front. There's no need to put any on the sides or the back because you're not going to see them that much, and they're not that many stickers. Now, you can buy maybe 2 or 3 sets and then put them all around the vase. I think that'd be very pretty, but in this case, I just had 1 set, so I just placed them again from large to small to the top, and I think it's beautiful. I just can't stand it. Now, I think I would have put maybe some white tiny rocks that you can find at Dollar Tree in the bottom of the vase, but I think it's beautiful. For the next Dollar Tree hack, we're going to use one of these little chalkboards from Dollar Tree and floral stickers. These are puff ones, so they have a lot of texture to them. And we're going to start placing them towards the bottom and right side of the board. Now, it doesn't matter about color here. We're just going with size because we're going to be painting them anyways. So I'm just focusing on making sure that they start again with larger to smaller. So we're going to start with largest in the corner, and then as they get further away from the corner, we're going to get to medium size and then small size. And again, we're going to do that on the bottom as well as the top. Now, what I like about these is they're not made out of paper, so we are going to paint them, and that worked really, really well because it didn't make the paper soggy or anything. They kind of have like a little plastic feel to them, so it worked out well. I did give it 3 coats though of Rust-Oleum chalk paint because I wanted to make sure that it was going to be on there. The second and third coats I did dab instead of brush. Just a little inside note there. Now we're going to use this reusable stencil by A Maker Studio. It's beautiful. If you've never used A Maker Studio stencils, they are reusable. They have sticky on the side. This is one of their chalk paste, and we're just going to stencil it and then remove it, and this green really pops on that white. So now the stickers are just a detail that looks like it's part of the board. I think it's beautiful. I'm going to take some of these leafy green picks that came out of a larger pick, and then we are going to hot glue one of those flowers from earlier, the pink ones, and we're just going to do it right in the center, and that's it. These are easy, these are quick, and these are absolutely beautiful ways you can use these Dollar Tree stickers. They're not expensive, but they're gorgeous. I highly recommend them. For this Dollar Tree DIY, we're going to start with a square cutting board, and I was just showing you there how I tagged all of my boards prior to starting my projects to know what I was going to do with each one of them and make sure I had enough for all of my projects. So anyways, all right, so I'm going to take the first one here, and then this Noel Christmas sign from the Dollar Tree that was left over from last year, and I'm just going to cut it into a size that fits the actual cutting board. It so happened it was the right size, so I got really lucky. This cutting mat is awesome. It's from the Dollar Tree. It's small, but for small projects it's really cool. So if you find one, get it. I'm going to use my palm sander, and I'm going to sand down all the glitter and just rough up the surface just so that the paint can adhere a little better to it. Then I'm going to take a couple of these large painter sticks. These are the ones that are for like 25-gallon buckets, and you can also get them on Amazon. So I'm going to get 2 of them, and I'm going to cut 2 of them on this the same size, one for the bottom, one for the top, and then I'm going to hot glue it to each end. The reason I'm doing the bottom and the top first is because then the 2 sides one are going to be a little smaller, and I want to make sure that I have the right size. So once I have those glued, now I'm going to take the other stick, and I'm just going to measure what I need to cut and cut 2 more of those using my miter saw. If you do not have a miter saw, although I highly recommend you start getting some power tools, it would really take your DIYs and crafting to a whole new level. But if you don't have one, that's okay. You can always use a miter box, and it should work really well. I'm going to then staple just a couple of staples on each stick. That way it's going to be very secure. Then it's time to start painting. I'm just going to give it the whole thing, inside and out, 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. I then took the glass cutting board and took it outside and spray painted it with the kind of like the frosted spray paint, and that's it. I just let it dry. Then I'm going to take some of this faux leather that I get on Amazon. I have black and brown, but I wanted to keep it with the brown. I cut about a 1-inch thick strip. Then I am going to cut half of that strip, and then I'm going to cut half of the halves so that I have 4 equal strips. This is going to be put on the edges because the edges did not join really well. You can tell that they're open. I thought adding something to it, which would have been a great idea anyways, but I thought adding it would really cover that up and just to camouflage it a little bit. So I'm going to add them just by hot gluing them. They're really light. They're really easy to work with. And then I'm going to take some thumbtacks, and I'm going to remove the little pointy part, and I'm just going to put a little dot of hot glue and place it right on there. Now I thought I can hammer it, but because it was just staples and hot glue, I didn't want to hammer anything on the box. So just to be sure, I just added hot glue and then the thumbtacks right on top. Now I'm going to add some of these fairy lights that I do have on my Amazon store. So we're going to keep it very simple. We're just going to open up the lights and then just kind of squish them in the box, making sure there's lights kind of like separate and just everywhere. And we're not even going to hot glue the little battery pack because it's not going to be seen. You're not going to be able to see it. So we're just going to put the frosted cutting board right on top of it, and it's going to be a lighted box that you can place decor, you can place jewelry, you can place whatever you want. I think it's beautiful. It's definitely one of my favorites from today. I love it. The next DIY is super easy and quick. We're going to take one of the round glass cutting boards, and then we're going to take a couple of these nautical ropes from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to take 2 of them. We're going to open them up and we are going to fold them in half, and then we are going to kind of crisscross them because we're going to make a little hanging shelf. So you're going to see here we're going to crisscross them so they're both kind of like locked together. And then we're going to take the other side, so the sides that are open, and we're just going to knot it in a big knot. This is to make sure that everything is together, and of course is where we can hang it from a hook. And then we're going to add the cutting board right in the center, making sure that all the ropes, the 4 ropes, are evenly separated. Adding this type of nautical rope was perfect because it was able to tighten that glass so that it wouldn't come off. And if you put something a little bit on the heavier side, not too heavy, it will stick and it would not go anywhere. This one is absolutely beautiful. I am going to take this little tiny Target dollar spot vase. It was a set of 3. I'm just going to take one, and I'm going to add some of these tiny black rocks from the Dollar Tree and then add this pink flower. And this is what we're going to add to the shelf, and I think it's stunning. Such a simple DIY. Anyone can do this. I think it would look great with the square one too. Love it. For the next DIY is super easy. Again, we're going to take another one of those round cutting boards, and then we're going to actually cut off the floral portion of this Believe decal. First time seeing this one at Dollar Tree. I absolutely loved it. Has like a pinkish tone, metallic tone to it. Beautiful, but we're only going to use the floral portion. Now, if you're going to use decals on the glass, I prefer using the ones that have the clear background, but you can certainly use whatever decal. I love these decals, but the ones with the clear background just look a little bit more natural, and you could just still see through them, and I think it's really cute. But anyways, we're going to place one of them towards the left side, and then I cut off the other one as well, and we're going to do the same exact thing, except we're going to add it to the opposite side of the florals. And that's it. Such an easy one, but I just want to show you how versatile these cutting boards are, and using some Dollar Tree inexpensive items, you can really turn them into a unique piece. I love the way the orchid looks right on top of it. I think it's fresh, it's springy. Love it, love it. For the next Dollar Tree DIY, we're going to take another one of the square glass cutting boards. This time we're going to use a design that I found on Design Space with my Cricut. I cut it, and I cut it into a kind of like flipped. So you're not going to be able to read it when you're looking at it right now, but you will once it's attached. So I'm just going to add some transfer tape and then apply it to the back of the glass cutting board. So it's not going to go on top. So I am going to just flip it over, and then we're going to apply it, making sure that it really is stuck in there. Now this is a permanent vinyl, so I can wash it. It's not going to come off. It's really durable. So I'm just going to make sure that it's really adhered, and then remove the transfer tape. Now I noticed that the F in the beginning and the C, or I'm sorry, the F in the beginning and the C in the end were right on top of that little dot that comes with the cutting board. So I'm just going to press it and then cut the excess around it. You couldn't even tell. It was really seamless. It really worked really well. What we're making, I guess I should tell you, is that we're making just a little spoon holder. So when you're cooking, you can put it next to your stove and place your utensils. And I think it's stunning. I love it. Love it, love it. I actually kept this one. It's on my kitchen counter right next to the stove. Beautiful. For the next DIY, another very easy and simple one. We're going to take another one of the round glass cutting boards, and then we're going to take this reusable stencil from a Maker Studio. They're the mesh sticky ones that you can stick and unstick and reuse them as many times as you want. It's a beautiful design. So I'm just going to place it right on top and make sure that I stick it and really press down on it, making sure that every inch of it is adhered to the cutting board. And then we're going to take some of their gel art ink, and this is in the Hey Y'all. It's a really cool teal color, perfect for summer, and we are just going to start squeegeeing it on. This is the squeegee that comes with it, and it's so easy to use. I am going to have a Maker Studios link in the description box if you want to take a look at their products. They have so many stencil, and the beautiful thing is they're reusable. So if you do not have a cutting machine, this is a really great way to go to make a custom decor. So we're just going to squeegee the gel art ink all over the design, and then it's so satisfying when you remove this stencil. Perfection. This one turned out beautiful. It almost has like a lace look to it. So feminine, so cute. I have it here with a little bit of jewelry and a lipstick, and I think it just looks so stinking cute, but it can be used in any area in your home. For the next Dollar Tree DIY, super easy one. Again, we're going to take one of these vases. We're going to remove the sticky part. You know by now probably that you can use your heat gun to really remove those stubborn stickers. So go ahead and use that if you need to. We're going to take a round glass cutting board and we're going to attach it right on top. We're going to make a pedestal decor riser. It could be a plant stand. We're going to add some of these super glue from Dollar Tree, and I forgot to remove the little dots. So we're going to do that. We're going to remove that, and then we're going to try to remove as best as we can the little sticky part that was left over. We're going to place it right there. We're going to make sure that it's completely adhered, and I just put a random plant that I had at home just to show you how cute it would look. I love how the simplicity of it. I love how clear it is, and it's just beautiful. For the next DIY, we are going to take this summer mermaid tail decal that I made with my Cricut. If you do not have a cutting machine, you can always use any decal you have, or any kind of like sticker that has a specific shape on it, or even letters that you can find at the Dollar Tree that you can remove. The possibilities are endless. So we're going to adhere it to the cutting board, then we're going to take it outside. We're going to spray it once again with the frosted glass spray. We're going to let it dry and then take it back in and remove it. And look how beautiful this looks. I just love how it's so subtle, and you can see through the part, of course, that the decal was in, but the frosted part just kind of look cute. I would see this like in a girl's room. Again, you can use it maybe for jewelry or makeup, or just to put a drink on, whatever you want. I think it's just absolutely stunning, and it's one of my favorites today, actually. For the next Dollar Tree DIY, we're going to start here in my garage with my miter saw, and I'm going to cut 4 little legs out of this 2x2 that it was just a scrap piece that I had in my garage. They are about 2.5 inches, I would guess. I didn't measure because I just grabbed whatever I had and just cut them into 3 equal parts. And then I sanded them down with my palm sander, making sure they're nice and smooth. We're going to remove the little dots from the cutting board, and we're going to save them. We're going to put those to the side. And then we did remove all the stickiness that remained in the cutting board, making sure that it didn't have nothing on it. And then we are going to add more of that super glue as well as some hot glue to each little leg, because we are going to stick them underneath them, and we're going to make a little decor riser. Just another option that you can do. I know that Dollar Tree carries a lot of wooden craft items now, so it's definitely something you can do with a piece of wood that you can find at the Dollar Tree. So we're just going to do the same thing on all 4 sides. And then you remember the little stickies or the little dots that we removed earlier. I'm going to reuse them, and I'm going to hot glue them to the bottom of the wood. That way when we put this on a surface, it's not going to scratch any of it. And I think it's absolutely stunning. Beautiful, beautiful. I love the way it kind of rises up, and it's not too high, not too low. It's just really, really nice. For the next Dollar Tree DIY, we're going to take another decal that I cut using my Cricut. This one says nice work, and we are going to place it once again on the back of the cutting board. I'm now going to take the Armor etching cream, and I get this on Amazon. And what you do, you got to have a stencil that you want to apply a lot of the etching cream on top, leave it for 3 minutes, and then remove it with water. Now, I did leave it for more than 3 minutes because I forgot. Nothing happened, but it edged really nicely. So I think I must have left it for about, I don't know, like 7-8 minutes, but it worked out well. I did have a hard time kind of like removing it, but I just took my time, really rubbed it off, and it came off eventually. But maybe that's why, maybe it dried too much, but the instructions say 3 minutes, so leave it for 3 minutes. But just to let you know, I left it for about 7 or 8. All right, I'm removing the decal, and once again, you're just going to see through it. So this is kind of like the same technique as using the frosted glass spray paint. It made the same effect, except it was edged, and I did it on the back, and I think it's beautiful. This one is actually a mouse pad for working on my computer. For the next Dollar Tree DIY, I'm going to take another one of these glass cutting boards. Now, this one was part of another video that I did recently, but I wanted to include it because it used the same glass cutting board, except this one had this sticker on the back because I couldn't find the clear ones that you just saw me using. And it gave me a hard time, let me tell you. I removed it successfully eventually. I tried nail polish remover, I tried alcohol, I tried Goo Gone, like I tried everything. In the end, I just had to scrape it off, and then I finished it off using the Brillo pads that you can find. I just cut a piece off of it, and I used it to scrape it off, and it actually came off. All right, so now we are going to tape just about maybe a third or maybe a fourth of the top of it with Rust-Oleum chalk paint and the linen white. We're going to give it 2 coats and remove it, and that's because we're going to hang it at the end, and we need something to hide the tape at the back, and I'll show you. I'm going to take this Dollar Tree decal, and then I'm going to remove several pieces of it so that we can fit it on the cutting board. So I'm going to place the one that has the word B on it right on towards the top, and then we are going to place the other side of it right underneath, and then finally the little B is going to be towards the top right corner of the cutting board. And then we are going to add some ribbon to the back. As I mentioned, we're going to tape it with really good tape, and that way you can't see, and that's why we painted it. But I think it turned out absolutely beautiful. It was one of the favorites ones from that video, and I agree, I think it's stunning. For this next Dollar Tree DIY, once again, we're going to use another one of those Happy Bee or Be Happy decals from Dollar Tree and a square glass cutting board, and we're going to place it. This is similar to the one that I did earlier with the florals, but this one is going to be with these clear ones. Again, this is why I always suggest if you're going to use decals, use the one that have the clear background because it just blends in and it just looks absolutely beautiful. Another example of one that you can use either with a vase or maybe even as a jewelry holder. Beautiful. We're going to take this thrifted sign. It was really cute, but it's for like a wedding and we just didn't need it. So I am going to give it one rough coat of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white, and it's going to be almost dry brushed. It's just going to be very light just to lighten it up and give me a base. Now we're going to take several or a couple gray tone chalk paints. This is the country gray. We're going to just dry brush up and down, and it's going to look like a hot mess, but just stick with me here for a while. All right, so then I am going to take a darker gray, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to start dry brushing up and down to create a lot of color, a lot of dimension, and we're going to do the same thing with some green. But this is Waverly Moss once again, and I'm just going to go up and down and adding all this color. Now, after all of these colors were dry, I'm going to go back with the white, and I'm going to keep adding until mostly is white, but you can see some of the darker tones of the grays and the green pop through. And this is exactly what I was looking for. So I let it fully dry. Then we're going to take one of these Dollar Tree glass, I think it's like a pot holder where we can place a pot, and some of these Dollar Tree butterfly decals. You know I love using their decals. They're great to make DIYs. So we're going to take a couple of these butterflies and we're going to start going back and forth. I'm going to kind of keep looking at how the glass is going to look and where I'm going to place the butterflies. So I'm going to place the larger one here in this little corner. And then once again, I'm just going to keep going back and forth. I'm also going to combine some of the golden tone butterflies. I recently did a video only using these butterflies, the golden ones that are coming up. And it turned out super cute. So I'm going to add a couple of those golden ones as well. And I just want this to be a really cute summer-like decor that anyone can place either on a wall or just put it on top of a console table or a fireplace. I think it's going to look really cute. But anyways, like I said, I'm going to add some of these golden ones as well. Now to attach the glass portion, this is a very heavy glass, so I am going to use some of this Dollar Tree super glue. It's actually really good glue. If you do not have it and you need super glue for $1.25, it's a pretty good deal. I'm going to dab a little dab on each little dot of the glass portion, and then we're going to place it kind of like, in the middle, and then we're going to leave it dry or harden overnight. I really want to make sure that this glass is not going to fall, and it did not. I actually picked it up and the next day and took it to my booth where I sell my items, and it was not budging. It was not coming off. I even shook it to make sure it was not going to come off, and it worked perfect. I think it turned out so beautiful. What a great way to use this glass, as well as the butterflies from Dollar Tree, and it's a thrifted item. I didn't spend much. All right, first item is this cute little box. I don't know if it's like a bucket, a box, a planter maybe. I don't know. I found it at the thrift store for $1.99. And it was super cute, but I just did not like that rope. It was dated and it was like really fuzzy. Like it was, I don't know. It was just a lot of little fuzzies were coming out. So we're going to remove that. We're going to tighten it up, make sure all the staples are where they need to be. And then we are going to just update it a little bit. We're going to add some paint. This is Waverly in the Moss. And we're just going to start dry brushing up and down until I kind of see what I like. Now, at first, I thought I would just add the moss color. I thought that would be sufficient. And then it just got a little bit too dark once I started drying it. You can see how it was just kind of dull. So then I decided to sand it a little bit. I thought, okay, maybe if I soften it up, it will look okay. And it didn't. So then I decided to, oh yeah, I forgot to take the prize out. So let's take that out. Then we're going to dry brush some more paint. This time it's going to be white. This is Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. And this one, loved it. It gave it a little bit more of a beachy tone. And I just kind of liked it. So I added as much as I thought I wanted. And then let it completely dry. I also did the rim on top just a little bit. That way it just kind of matches everything. But we let it fully dry. And then let's bring on some Dollar Tree items. So we're going to start gluing some nautical rope. This is the white kind. You can get this at Dollar Tree pretty much all the time. They have them all the time. So I'm going to hot glue around the top rim where all those staples were at, so that it could be, just hide the staples, but also tighten the top portion of the wood planks, because they were a little wobbly after I removed the old rope. So we're going to hot glue it all around the top rim, and then we're also going to hot glue on the bottom, and we're going to leave just a little bit of that wood showing on the bottom. I am now going to take this welcome, it's like a metal sign. I got it last year. It has the windmill, and I'm just going to remove the bottom portion of it. It was really easy to remove. And then the sticker where like the little barcode was not coming off, so I decided to sand it down, and it actually worked. So if you have trouble getting these out, sanding it will work. All right, then I'm going to use the same bucket just to kind of round off the what will be the handle. So we're going to put it in through one side, use my needle nose clamps there, and then we're going to do the same thing on the other side just to kind of turn it a little bit and create a cute little handle. I added some Dollar Tree florals and some faux boxwood, and I think it turned out absolutely beautiful. Love it. The next Dollar Tree and thrift store DIY, I want to take this candle pillar holder. I think that's what it is. I'm going to wipe it well, disinfect it, clean it. Just, you could tell it had a lot of grime on it. So I want to make sure I'm cleaning it and then dry it really, really well. And then we're going to start giving it one coat of the Waverly Moss chalk paint. Beautiful coverage, beautiful color, and I'm going to do it all over as a base coat. Then I'm going to do the same thing I did earlier. We're going to take some white from Rust-Oleum Chalk Pen in the linen white and a chippy brush, and we're going to start dry brushing some white, and I'm going to do that all over again. This is just to add dimension, texture, and just more character. And then I am going to take a wet rag and I'm going to start wet distressing. So now that I have everything distressed and how I want it, I'm going to take the Rust-Oleum Chalked matte top coat and I'm going to just seal everything, seal all of the chalk paint and make sure it's not going to go anywhere. And then we're going to add some more of that nautical rope from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to hot glue it starting at the bottom. We're going to go around, I believe it was 5 times, and then secure it with hot glue here and there to make sure it's not going to go anywhere. I'm going to carefully remove this starfish from this Dollar Tree summer sign. I think it's really cute, but I want to use that on my DIY. So we're going to remove it and then we're going to just attach it with hot glue. That's it. Very simple, very beachy, very summer. I love the colors and I do have it on my booth for sale as well. So I'm sure it's going to sell. Look how stunning this pillar looks. I really, really love the way it turned out. For the next Dollar Tree thrift store DIY, I'm going to take this sign that I got at the thrift store for $3.99, solid wood. We're going to remove the little hanging hook that I had on top, and then I decided to sand down that top portion. It was just like a paper that they had maybe glued or Mod Podged on it, and I realized some spots were actually bubbling, so I decided to just remove as much as I could. The rest, it was impossible to remove, and then use my palm sander again to sand everything smooth and make sure there's nothing lifted and nothing flaking. Then I'm going to make sure that it's really, really well dusted and clean so that I can start painting. We're going to start with some Rust-Oleum chalk pen in the linen white and using my chalk paint brush. I love this brush. If you guys do not have a chalk paint brush, I highly suggest it. I do have some on my Amazon store, which is linked down below. All right, so then we're going to take some more of that Waverly chalk paint in the moss, and as you can see, I only did 1/3 in white. The middle portion is going to be in the green, and then I'm going to blend the two colors so that they blend one to each other very, very nicely. And then once I had it where I want it, I'm going to move on to the agave color by Waverly, which is another beautiful color, and we are going to paint the bottom third portion of the sign. And once again, we're going to blend the two colors, the green and the blue, making sure that it's a smooth transition from one to the other. Now we're going to dry brush some more white on it. We're going to just go back and forth, keeping that horizontal brush strokes, and I'm going to add quite a bit of white on here, and this is because I want to create a little bit more rustic, beachy look. Then once I had it where I want it, I'm going to sand it down with my sanding block, just back and forth, smoothing things out, softening the lines of the strokes, and then distressing the edges as I need. And then we're going to make sure once again that it's dust free so that we can move on to the next step. So we're going to add some handles. These clamps I get at the hardware store sometimes, and sometimes I get at Amazon. I do have some on my Amazon store. We're going to place a couple on each side, and I'm just measuring, making sure that both clamps are going to be where they need to be, and we're going to secure them with some screws. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And now we're going to take some more of that same nautical rope, and we're going to add them as handles. We're going to thread it through one of the clamps, make a very tight knot, and then thread the other side and knot it, making sure that I have enough of rope to carry the tray, but not too much where it's just going to be too big of handles. And then once I knew where I wanted to tie it, I tightened that knot, and then I did the same exact thing on the other side. I found these cute little wooden turtles at the Dollar Tree, and I love them. So I'm going to take several here. I think I took 5, and I'm going to place them kind of like that they're little turtles at the beach, because it reminded me of the ocean, like the sand and the ocean and the beach. So I'm going to place 3 on one side, 2 on the other, and I'm going to use some more of that super glue from Dollar Tree as well as hot glue, and we are just going to start gluing them where I have them placed. I completely forgot to seal this tray. I should have sealed it before I added the handles and the turtles, but it's okay. I sealed it with the spray top coat from Rust-Oleum, and this one turned out beautiful. I have it on my booth, and I know it's going to sell right away. Love it. For the next Dollar Tree and thrift store DIY, I'm going to take this wreath that I actually thrifted several months ago, and I did a Christmas wreath. It never sold, so I removed everything from it but kept the wreath. I'm going to then now take some of these new Dollar Tree nautical robes. They have blue and kind of like a beigey white color. I'm going to take 3 of them, and I'm going to braid them all the way to the end so that we have a thicker type of robe but still have that blue and white color that I think is really cool. Then we're going to take the rope, and we're just going to start hot gluing it around the wreath, but making sure that it's a little bit almost wavy, and so we're going to hot glue it in certain spots. Then with the final one, I'm going to add some more tape, and this is just going to keep those ends together, and you're not going to see it because we're going to put some decor on it. So we're just going to hot glue it right where we started. And then it's time to start getting some things ready for us. So I found this Dollar Tree wooden anchor. I thought it was perfect for the theme. I'm going to paint it white. I gave it 2 coats, and I did the same thing with 3 of the little turtles that we used earlier because I think it would be cute to add them to this wreath as well. So 2 coats on each. I let it fully dry, and then I decided to distress the edges just a little bit. So I'm going to take a makeup sponge and some antiquing wax by Waverly, and I'm just going to start applying some of the antiquing wax on the edge of the anchor as well as the turtles. This is going to add some dimension, give it a little bit of distressed beachy look that I'm looking for. So I did the same thing, like I said, on the little mini turtles, and then it's time to start applying everything on the wreath. I am going to start adding some of these faux grass that I get on Amazon, and I cut 1 pig into separate little pigs, and we're just going to start placing them towards that side where we have the joint rope, and then we're going to add several facing upward and a couple facing downward, and then this is exactly where we're going to hot glue the anchor to cover everything, and I think it just kind of blends really well. So I'm just going to add some hot glue, nothing major. The anchor is kind of lightweight, so hot glue was completely sufficient. Add my wire cutters on top to add some weight until the hot glue hardened. Okay, so the little turtles, we're gonna hot glue them on the rope here and there where I kind of see where they look right, and I think they're just so cute. I love sea turtles to begin with, and I think these little baby wooden ones look so stinking cute. I thought something was missing all around the wreath, so I am going to add a couple of those little faux grass picks all around, kind of like one where each turtle is kind of, and it'll just kind of finish it off and just really make it look like a wreath. And I just love the way this one turned out. It's nautical, it's beachy, it's summery, and it was so inexpensive to buy, and then I only used mostly Dollar Tree items. Love it. Alright, so we're going to start with some pink tissue paper, and Dollar Tree has these in a bundle with other colors, but sometimes you can find them just pink and just like solid colors. But nonetheless, I'm going to start with this pink one, and I'm going to cut them in little strips, and then I'm going to cut them into like almost square, but more like a little rectangles. And I didn't measure, I just kind of eyed them out. But if I were to measure, I think they're about maybe 3 inches by 4 inches, give or take. Then I'm going to fold them into 4s, just like you see I'm doing here. And then I'm going to take the sides that are not folded, and I'm just going to round them off. Like a little wiggly and just round them off because we're going to make little tiny flowers and we are going to use them for a blossom tree. I've seen several creators recently do this and I just thought, oh my gosh, I want to try this and I want to try it using Dollar Tree tissue paper. So here we have it. Now we have all these little separate little pieces of tissue paper all cut. Now we're going to take a pencil just because it's what I had on hand and we're going to put one inside. We're just going to scrunch it just a little bit and then we're going to place a second one right underneath and then we are going to kind of tighten the bottom and just be careful that you don't squish the flower too much. So just as you hold the flower lightly, just scrunch the bottom part into a really tight pointy part and that way you're going to have a little flower. Now I didn't do this part, but I highly suggest you add a little dot of hot glue in between each sheet of tissue paper because some of mine were falling off. So just so that you know that. Now, I created a whole bud. Now we're going to create some little buds. So we're going to do the same thing. Cut these, round them off in the top, and then we're just going to scrunch them up and we are going to make little buds. And these are just going to be one little sheet and we're actually going to scrunch this one a little tighter. So see how I'm like folding it and scrunching it, and it's just going to create little buds for our tree branch. And I think this just adds a little dimension, just a cute little addition of flowers. All right, so here's what I've got so far. I have all the little flowers. Look how cute they are. And the great thing is that they're not all the same. So that's just perfect. And then I have some buds right here, some smaller ones that we are going to hot glue to the branch. And I'll show you the branch here in just a second. So I went outside and I just cut off a branch out of my tree. I got really lucky that my leaves are not coming out yet for spring. And we're just going to start applying and hot gluing the little flowers. Now, you want to hot glue them specifically where there's a joint of two branches coming together or where there's a joint where you just see like right there, like a little tiny branch was coming off. I just cut the branch off and then I just added a little bit of hot glue and I placed the flower. Now, because they are made from tissue paper, you don't need a lot of hot glue. Just a little dab will be perfect. And I did that all over the tree. And again, just kind of eye it out and just kind of see where it needs to go. If you need to step away from the branch and just kind of see where things are, just want to make sure it's pleasing to the eye and it looks very natural. And then with the little buds, I try to place them more towards the upper part of each branch because that way it just looks like those are just the newest little flowers coming out in the beginning of the branches. And there's one that I'm placing right now. I thrifted this vase several months ago and I flipped it and I added this beautiful textured white tone. So it was perfect for this blossom tree. So I'm just going to add some plastic bags right inside to tighten everything and then some moss to kind of cover the bags. And I think this blossom tree turned out beautiful. It is my favorite from today. I have it right on my dining room table and I love it. For the next Dollar Tree DIY, I'm going to take this little garden sign. It is in the summer section. I'm going to remove the little jute string from the back and then I'm going to give it 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. This is so that the base has a light tone and not a dark tone. Then we're going to take this floral tissue paper from one of the bundles that I got and we are going to Mod Podge it to the front of the sign. You can use any Mod Podge you want. I got this one at Hobby Lobby several months ago. It is a matte finish. I prefer matte, but if you have glossy, I think it'll work fine. So we're just going to place the tissue paper right on top, avoiding any bubbles or wrinkles as much as possible. And of course, you don't want to tear it either, so be careful. Then with my sanding block, I'm just going to sand it down kind of like in a downward motion like you see there. Now, my tissue paper was not fully dry. It was kind of dry, but not too much. So just make sure that you're careful. So I'm going to take this little decal from the Dollar Tree. It has faith, hope, and love. I'm going to take the love. I did cut off the little like little swoop at the end just so that it fits, and then we're going to place it towards the bottom right corner of the sign. And then we're going to seal everything with one more coat of Mod Podge over the tissue paper as well as the love. And I think it's beautiful. I love the way it looks right inside a plant. It would be perfect. Or you can also remove the stake, add a little string, and hang it on a wall. For the next Dollar Tree DIY, we're going to take some of these mini little canvases from the Dollar Tree. We're just going to use one. And then we're going to take some Dollar Tree poster board and we're going to trace the canvas and cut a piece that fits exactly to the little canvas. And then we are going to take this piece of poster board and I'm going to just go on my Cricut and cut out the letter B. And that's the first initial of my daughter, and I'm going to create this for her. I'm going to carefully remove the B from it, and we're not going to use the actual B, but we're going to use the frame around it. Now we're going to take these tissue paper from the Dollar Tree and we're going to take the green leaf one. I think it's gorgeous. We're going to take the canvas again. We're going to trace it, cut it, and this time we're going to cut it about a ½ inch smaller than the actual line, as you can see there. Then we're going to take the little canvas and we're just going to start eyeing it out and see if we need to cut more from the tissue paper, and we did. I wanted the edge to be just a little bit more bare, and you're going to see why in a minute, but I also want the tissue paper to be seen through the silhouette of the bee. So here I'm just measuring, making sure that it's going to be covered and it's going to be perfect. So then we're going to Mod Podge once again the tissue paper right to the center of the canvas. I'm not looking for all the edges to be glued down. It doesn't need to, just as long as most of it is Mod Podged, it would be fine. Then I'm going to take the poster board silhouette of the bee and we're going to give it a kind of like a wavy edge. So instead of a straight line edge, I want it to be a little bit wavy, but I do not want to cut too much off of it, so I'm just slightly going over the edge. Now I'm just measuring, making sure that it's what I wanted. I'm going to take some Waverly chalk paint in the Moss, which is one of my favorite colors they have, and I am going to lightly paint just one coat all the edge all around, being very careful not to go too much in, but make sure that I have enough. And then once it's dry, we are going to then take the silhouette bee with the poster board. We're going to spray it with this Elmer's adhesive spray. We're going to spray the back of it, and then we're going to place it right on top. Now you have the beautiful tissue showing through the poster board. Then we have the edges showing very pretty, and of course we want to put the little middle section of the bee. Then we're going to take some faux boxwood that I get on Amazon. I tied the 2 boxwood branches in the middle with some jute string, then hot glued it to the top, making sure the little branches are a little bit facing down. This burlap ribbon is from Dollar Tree. Recently found it. I think it's beautiful. We're going to hot glue a piece to the back. We're also going to tape it a little bit for extra security, and that's it. This one is stunning. My daughter absolutely loved it. She loved it, of course. It has her initial, and the colors are just absolutely beautiful. Again, one of my favorites. For this next Dollar Tree DIY, we're going to take a simple plain white tissue paper and we're going to cut it into strips. Actually, we're going to tear it. It does not need to be just straight. It can just be torn. And then we are going to take this jar of sauce. It's like it had pasta sauce on it, and it had, you know, the word on it, and it had glue on it, and it's okay because we are going to Mod Podge a lot of tissue paper on top to add a lot of texture. So we're going to add a lot of Mod Podge right on top of the jar, and then we're going to take the pieces of tissue paper and we're just going to place them, making sure that there are a lot of wrinkles. So here, gosh, you can go crazy with wrinkles. You don't have to worry about it being perfect at all. The more wrinkles, the better. It gets a little messy, but it's fun. And then we're just going to start applying more and more Mod Podge until the entire jar is covered. I let this one dry overnight because it is a lot of glue that we added, but look how beautiful it's looking. A lot of texture, everything hardened very nicely. Now I'm going to add some Waverly chalk paint in the agave Again, one of my favorite colors. It is just beautiful, especially for summer. And we're going to give it one coat, a pretty heavy coat, making sure that we get in all the little nooks and crannies of all this texture, and then we're going to let it fully dry. Once it was dry, it is time to seal everything. So I'm going to use the Rust-Oleum chalked sealer. It's just a top coat and it's a matte finish, which is what I wanted, but you can use whatever you have on hand. You can use a polyurethane, which I use all the time, but I just added one pretty heavy coat and then let it fully dry and then move on to the next step, which is adding some wax. Now the wax that I'm going to be using is by Dixie Belle, is their best dang wax in the white. Let me just take a little piece of rag and then I'm just going to start applying it. Basically, we just want to add a little bit of white wax so that all those textures and all those little nooks and crannies kind of pop, and it just takes the jar into a whole new level. I love using this white wax. I don't use it enough, but I should because it is beautiful. I am going to have Dixie Belle website down in the description box if you want to check them out. They have really good products, and but yeah, so I just did that all over the jar and look how beautiful it turned out. That texture is priceless. I can see this being on a larger sign. Beautiful. For the next Dollar Tree DIY, we're going to take this floral tissue paper and we're going to start cutting it into 5-inch strips. And then we are going to, after I'm done with the strips, I'm going to fold them in half, and they're going to be about 10 inches long, maybe about 10.5 inches long. And we're just going to cut them, and we're going to use 5 of these rectangles because we are going to make small little flowers. I'm sure you've probably seen pom-poms, larger pom-poms being made with tissue paper. So it's going to be very similar to that, but it's going to be small flowers. So we're going to take 5 of these sheets. We're going to put them right on top of each other, and then we're going to start folding them at about maybe 3/4 of an inch, and we're going to flip-flop them. So we're going to fold and flip, fold and flip, almost as if we were creating an accordion. And we're going to do that all the way to the end of these strips. Then we're going to take our scissors and we are going to round off both edges. And you can create any shape here if you want, but for this one we're going to round them off. And then we are going to tie them in the middle with some jute string. Now this is all I had on hand, so I wanted it to have more of the lighter tone, but ideally you want to use maybe fishing line or anything else that is smaller. But this one worked out really well. So I'm just going to tie it in the center with a knot. Then we're going to open them up and we're going to have like a little fan. And then we're going to start separating each little sheet of tissue paper. Of course, be very careful because this is tissue paper, so it could tear. Now I tore mine a couple of times here and there. You'll never know. It is very forgiving, so don't stress about it, but just be very careful. So we're just going to start opening them up towards one side, and you can alternate each side. So what I did was I opened up, let's say 2 on each side, or 2 on one side and then 2 on each and the other side. So whatever you want to do, it doesn't matter as long as they are all opened and fanned out towards the same side. And obviously you can start seeing the shape of the flower being made. It is so beautiful. I love that I picked this floral design because I think it turned out perfect. So here I'm just fluffing and making sure everything is cute and neat. I'm going to do the same thing 2 more times using this lighter, it's like maybe like a lighter peachy pink color, and then the edges, instead of rounding them, we're just going to make them pointy. And we're going to cut them. Same thing. We're going to tie it in the middle, and then we are going to fan out all the little sheets of tissue paper one at a time. Now I have 3 little cute flowers. Look how stunning they look together. Beautiful. All right, so we're going to take a dollar spot from Target. This little wreath, it was $3. I use them all the time. They're really good quality and a great find for $3. We're going to hot glue the white one first, right on the left side of the wreath form. Then we're going to start adding the other 2, one underneath and one on top. And a little bit of hot glue goes a long way because these are very, very light. And we are just about done with this one. I can't even tell you. I did add burlap ribbon from Dollar Tree to hang it, but look how beautiful this looks. So easy, so inexpensive, and it's stunning. We're going to take this one and these 4 little ones. They are all grapevine wreaths. However, the smaller ones are about 4 inches, and then the bigger one is about, it's still small, but it's just way bigger than the little tiny mini one. So we're going to use 5 of these. We're going to take some black wire that I get at Dollar Tree, and we're going to start attaching them to the one side of the larger wreath, and we're going to tie these very snug. As you can see, I am really pulling on that wire, making sure it is snug, and then I am twisting it several times to ensure that that mini wreath is not going to fall forward or back. I want to make sure they're nicely tight. Then I'm going to fold the excess wire and I'm going to push it right through the wreath. That way we're not going to have anything poking through and scratching a wall or a finger or whatever. We're going to do the same thing with all 3 other mini wreaths. All right, so as you can tell, we are starting to create a paw wreath. And here I'm just trying to make sure that those mini wreaths are not going anywhere. So this paw wreath, it's kind of funny. As I'm placing the greenery, you're going to start seeing it that I'm going to place some faux boxwood that I do get also on Amazon. I'm just going to place a few little pieces as well as these yellow flowers from Walmart just to kind of brighten it up. The funny part about this wreath is that none of my family member or friends thought it was a paw except for my daughter. She guessed it right away. Everyone else thought it was something different. What do you think? Does it look like a paw or does it not? Anyways, let me know in the comments. So I'm just going to add this little burlap ribbon from Dollar Tree bow right to the center, hot glue it, and that's it. I think it looks super adorable, and I think it does look like a paw. But again, let me know in the comments what you think. For the next DIY, we're going to take some of these natural wood beads that I also get on Amazon, as well as these darker wood tone ones that I already had stained for a previous DIY, and I had some left over. I'm also going to use a few of these paper beads that I also get on Amazon, and again, everything is in my Amazon store. I'm also going to use these knitting needles that I've had. Are they knitting or stitching? Let me know. Yeah, I'm going to use the one that has the widest like little hole, so that way it can this jute string can thread right through it. I'm also going to use one of these mini tiny wreaths also for this DIY. We're going to thread the jute string, and then we're going to start with the natural wood tone beads. I'm going to use one first. I'm going to thread it all the way to the end of the jute string. I'm going to tie it to itself, so just basically tie it, and this is going to be my first one so that all the other beads do not go through. And so we're just going to make a very simple knot and secure it, and that way when we start placing the other ones, it'll be nicely secure. All right, so we're going to start with 10 natural wood beads. Then we're going to add one white one, then one brown one, then 10 more natural wood tone ones. We're going to create a pattern. You can use whatever pattern you want. This is the beauty of DIY. You can use different colors. You don't even have to use these colors. I love natural neutral colors, but you can certainly use any other color you want. So I am going to repeat this pattern 3 times. All right, so there you have it. I have it 3 times in a pattern, and you can do this as many times as you want and make the wood bead garland as long as you want. Now for this one, we're going to use the faux green boxwood because it's summer, but I'm going to show you how you can customize this for any season. You can take some of these evergreen picks that I do get on Amazon as well. You can put a couple of them on top just like that, and maybe add a Christmassy ornament in the middle or a bell or something on it, and it would be so Christmassy, so cute. For fall, you can use maybe some dried cotton stems like this one, wrap it around, and you can have a fall themed, more of a rustic fall theme look. The possibilities are endless, but again, because we are approaching spring and summer, I think it's going to be perfect to use these faux green boxwood. I'm going to take small little picks from the larger pick, and we are going to thread them to the top of, or one side, but it'll be the top of the mini wreath. And then we're going to take this cute little yellow flower. I have like a stem of them. They're like wood flowers that I got at Home Goods a long time ago. I love them. I love yellow. I'm like so obsessed with yellow. But we're going to use just one. We're going to remove the stem, and then we're going to hot glue quite a bit on the right there in the center between the boxwood, and we're going to hot glue that little flower. And I think it looks so stinking cute. I love these mini wreaths. All right, so now we're going to take the same needle, and we're just going to kind of thread it through right behind the flower, and we are going to attach the wreath to the bottom of the wood bead garland. And as you can see, I'm threading it through the last bead, and this is going to bring everything together, and I'm going to tie it to itself. So I'm just going to knot it to right above that last bead, making sure that it's snug and tight, and I'm going to knot it 3 times. Look how stunning this wood garland looks. I love it. I think it's fresh, is trendy. I love it. All right, for the next DIY, I'm going to take one of these Dollar Tree wood shelves. You can get these individually like this size, and there's also another one that comes a smaller size, and they come 2 in each. So really good deal for $1.25. We're going to fill in the little holes with some spackle. Once it's dry, then I am going to very lightly sand over it just to smooth it out, and then we're going to dust it really well because we're going to add some paint, and I'm just going to use some Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. And again, this is just my preferred. You can use any paints you have in hand in any color you want, and I'm just going to give it 1 coat because it was sufficient. I was really happy with that. The brush that I'm using is one of my favorites currently, and I do have on my Amazon store as well. All right, so the mini wreath we're using is one of those smaller ones again, and we're going to use some of these, a couple of these little pink flowers. We're going to start with the leaves, and we're just going to kind of glue it to the top of the mini wreath, and then we're going to hot glue the 2 leaves just a little bit on each side so that they kind of spread out a little bit more. They were kind of too much of a like upward, so I just wanted them to fan out a little bit. Then we're going to cut the little pink flowers very close to the flower, and then we're going to hot glue both of them, 1 on each side. And I think this little tiny one is probably my favorite. I love the colors. I love how spring and summer it looks. I just think it's so cute. All right, the paint is dry. We're going to lightly sand it, very, very lightly, just to smooth it out, and wipe it really, really well to make sure there's no dust. We're going to take this Happy Easter. It's a decal, but it's actually one of those decals that stick on a window or glass rather than being sticky on the back. First thing we're going to do is remove the little chick. Even though it's cute, it's not going to fit. Then we're going to take some Elmer's adhesive spray. We're going to add some to the back of the decal. You don't need a lot. A little bit goes a long way. I'm going to dry fit the little wreath just to make sure I know how much space I have. And then we're going to just place it on the right side of the wreath. The adhesive spray worked marvelously. I mean, this little decal went from not sticking to anything to like really, really sticking well. And I love that the white of the decal really blends in with the white of the board. Perfect. All right, so we're going to add a generously amount of hot glue to the little wreath, and then we're just going to hot glue it to the left side. Now, I didn't add any hanging portion to the back of it because I just want to place it on a tabletop, but look how stunning this Easter sign looks. One of my favorites. For the next DIY, we're going to take this Target Dollar Spot $1 little pedestal. It's for like a candle or a decor riser. I've had it for a while, and it's kind of been banged up, and it has some like maybe spritz of paint. So I'm just going to lightly sand it to remove them, as well as the base of it. I'm going to wipe it and buff it really well, make sure there's no dust on it. And then we are going to take it outside, and I am going to spray paint it with this Rust-Oleum spray paint and the satin finish. 1 light coat did the work. It's just to give it a fresh look. Then we're going to take one of those mini wreaths again and some of these blue flowers from Dollar Tree. We're going to cut 4 of the little flowers, and that's all I had, so we're just going to make it work. And then we're going to start placing them them all around the wreath. And at this time, I'm just pushing them in. I'm not hot gluing or anything, because then we're going to take some of this black wire again, and we're going to start tying them so that all the flowers are all around the wreath. So we're just going to start folding them, going in one direction and securing them with the black wire. That way the flowers are all, instead of just being like fanned out, they're all going to be nicely attached to the wreath. All right, so then again, the little tiny wires that are left over, I'm just pushing them in just to make sure it's not going to scratch anything. We're going to place it on top of a little pedestal and put one of these faux candles that I get on Amazon, and look how beautiful this looks. You can even do this with one of those larger wreaths, and I think it'd be beautiful. For the next DIY is one of my favorite. We're going to take 3 of these. They're still mini, but they're a little larger than the little mini tiny ones. And I'm just going to place them kind of like how I see fit, you know, depending on the style and how thick they are. And we're going to take some more of that black wire, and we're going to tightly tighten them to each other. Once again, just like the first paw wreath, we just basically want to tie them and make sure you pull on it so that it's very, very tight. And then again, we're going to leave some little tiny wires and just push them inside the wreath. That way it's not going to poke anything or anyone. We're going to do the same thing with the other one, but we're going to offset it a little bit. So I want to create like a little bit of a curve with these wreaths. And then we're going to take some more of those leftover greeneries. I just don't let anything go to waste. And then some of these purple flowers from Dollar Tree, how beautiful they are. All right, we're going to attach them where each wreath comes together, where the joints are, and we're just going to hot glue them. One's going to be facing one way, and then the bottom one's going to be facing the other way. Then I'm going to add some of the leftover greenery. We're just going to hot glue it behind the purple flowers just to add a little fullness and just more color. And again, we're going to do the same thing to the bottom one, but facing the opposite side. And then we're going to take some more of that Dollar Tree burlap ribbon, and we're just going to thread it through the top wreath. And then we're just going to hot glue it to itself, because that way it's just going to be kind of joined. You can either hang it or not, but however it could be. So I'm just going to add a little bit hot glue to one end and then just hot glue it to the end like that. And then we're going to bring the hot glued portion of it behind the wreath so that it hides it. And that's it. Definitely one of my favorites from today. Love the colors, love the style. So trendy, so easy and beautiful. For the next DIY is the easiest by far. We're going to take 4 more of those little tiny mini wreaths and more of that leftover greenery. This time I separated some of the picks, and I'm just going to hot glue 1 to each little tiny wreath. And that's it. 1 on the top of each. We're going to keep it simple. I love simplicity. And so that's it. We're just going to add 1 to each wreath. And these reusable fabric napkins I recently DIY'd on another video. I will have a link down below. We're going to take 1 of them, and well, 4 of them, but each one, and we're going to put them right through, and we're going to use these as napkin rings. They're a little bit on the larger side, but they're beautiful. Easy, simple way to add some natural tones to a tablescape. I think it's stunning. And tell me, was that not the easiest thing ever? I love the way this one turned out.
All right, so this small little bench I actually got off of Facebook Marketplace, and I just love that it was solid wood. So also one thing that I love is that it has storage. The seat opens up and it's like a little bench. It's a hot mess, but we're gonna clean it up. We are also going to change this part here. I do not like the hearts.
So as mentioned, the first thing I want to do is remove that top portion. So I'm just going to remove these little buttons that is on the side, and then lucky enough they were screws, so I was able to unscrew it. And then I'm going to use that part as a guide so I can cut a new piece of wood that fits a little bit more my style. So once I had it cut to size, I did place it, and it was a perfect fit. So this doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes you have to make multiple cuts. But thank God it actually worked out and it was a perfect fit. So all I had to do was making sure that it was leveled, and then I pre-drilled some holes using the holes that were already on the bench, and then using screws that were long enough to hold everything together, I placed 2 on each side. It was really easy and I am loving this tile way better than the hearts. Alright, so now I'm going to give everything just a pretty good scrub. I'm going to use my shop vac here and just remove all the dirt or the dust, webs. I mean, it was so bad. I think they had it outside at one point. It was just so bad. I'm going to use some Awesome from the Dollar Tree. If you've never used it, it works really well. And I'm going to use a wet rag and just remove all the dirt. It literally took me about 45 minutes because I had to go back and forth again and again to wipe it until everything was clean. And then I'm going to give everything a good sand. I am using a 150 grit sand. That way everything's going to be removed. Any flaky finish that it already had is going to be removed.
All right, so I dusted it off with a rag, and now we are going to just put some of this shellac over it just to seal anything that may be stain wise, because there is so much orange coming out that I have no doubt that when I paint it white, it's going to bleed through, and I don't want to go through that. So I'm going to give it just one rough coat of shellac. I am going to use a new chippy brush, but I am going to throw it away right after. So if you're going to do something like this, make sure that it's something that you can toss after.
It worked out perfect that I was outdoors because the shellac does have a stronger scent to it, but I covered it as best as I could. And again, I am just going to throw away the little chippy brush because it's just not worth cleaning it up. It is oil based, and so yeah, it's not worth it. So I let it fully dry, and then I'm just going to start giving it one coat of these Kills stain blocking primer because I just want to make sure there's not going to be any stain. So I'm just going to give one coat to the whole thing.
All right, so it's gonna be kind of hard to see, but hopefully you can. There's some yelling right here that is still coming through. I must have missed some areas because there's some there, as well as, let me see, right here. Do you see that yelling? And I think that's it. So I'm gonna get my shellac again, let the primer dry really well. Now I'm gonna get my shellac again and just kind of touch up those spots, and then I'll be able to put the chalk paint on.
So after I applied the shellac, you can see how yellow it got just on some spots that I added the shellac, but no big deal. Now I'm going to be using a paint by Mango Paint. It is fantastic. I'm going to have Mango's website down in the description box so that you can find their paint. It is a really good paint. I've never used it before, but it's a beautiful color. It's like an antique white, almost like an off-white, and it's a little different than what I normally use because I normally use a bright white. Once it was fully dry, I did give it 2 coats, by the way. I am going to place a stencil here. I've used this French stencil quite a while. It's a reusable stencil I got off of Amazon, and I believe it's on my Amazon store, which is linked down below. And I'm just going to start dabbing some charcoal Rust-Oleum chalk paint and a chalk paint brush, and I think it turned out super cute. I love this style. I took it back outside, this time on my porch, just to sand it down. I do want it to have more of a distressed look, so I'm just gonna scuff off the edges, and it's so much quicker and effective with my palm sander, but you can certainly do it by hand with a sandpaper. I am using 150 grit sandpaper, so I'm just gonna start sanding off all the edges, kind of like just where it would naturally distress. That's what I'm focusing on. And then I just wiped it really well, and now with a spray top coat, I'm just gonna spray the stencil. That way it's gonna seal in first. And I'm going to put some gloves on because we're going to start applying the top coat. This is polyurethane by Varathane, It's in the crystal clear, and I am using my sponge applicator, which is awesome. Wiping it on, and it's super easy. I gave it 2 full coats everywhere, front, top, bottom, everywhere. I'm going to add this screw to the back of the bench because then we're going to add just a decorative wreath here, and it makes it so much easier to hang right there with a jute string. And I think this bench looks awesome. Look at the before. And here's the after. I am in love with this bench. I cannot wait to put it up for sale. Unfortunately, I can't keep it, but I hope it goes to a beautiful home. I love it. For the next DIY, I am going to take this pillow. It's an old pillow. It is stained, it is broken, but I'm going to take some of this drop cloth, and I'm going to cut a piece to cover 1/2 of the pillow, and I'm going to show you why. I'm going to use some hot glue to seal in 2 ends, and then we're going to leave one of the frayed ends open. And I use hot glue because it's just so much easier, but you can certainly sew it if you'd like, or you can even use some fabric tape and then just iron it on. I'm going to flip it inside, not inside out, but outside in. And then we're going to start working on a different fabric, and we're going to create the other half of the pillow cover. This is a nautical kind of theme fabric that I recently got at Walmart, and not Walmart, I think it was Hobby Lobby. And I'm just going to cut a piece that's going to be perfect to cover the opposite side of the pillow. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to hot glue 2 ends, and then we're going to flip it outside in, and then we're going to apply it, or not apply it, but put it on the pillow. One thing to remember, especially if you do it with hot glue, if you make like any pillow or any seams with hot glue, making sure the ends are really pushed out so that you have it nicely made. So as I mentioned, we're just going to place it on the pillow now. So basically I want to put in the nautical theme fabric first, and I'm going to make sure the pillow is really in there. And as you can tell, I made the covers just a little smaller than the actual pillow, so it fits really snug. And then I'm going to put on the drop cloth one, and I think it's so stinking cute. I've done this before for a fall themed pillow, and I just love the look. I love that it's so easy to make with hot glue, and really you can customize it with whatever fabric and for every season. For the next DIY, I'm going to take this thrifted box that I got for 99 cents. Such a great deal. It is old, but it was actually pretty good shape. Then I cut out these 2 pieces of 1x3s into about 10 inches long. Then I'm going to put them to the sides on the inside, and I'm just going to mark where I want them so that I know where to put some wood glue, because we're going to attach them to each side with some brad nails, but I also want to add the wood glue because it just allows it to be a lot more secure. Into brad nailer using my Ryobi 18-volt nailer, and I'm just going to add about 5 or 6 of them on each side. I'm now going to take this big dowel that I got at Walmart, and I'm just going to mark where I need to make a cut, making sure that it fits nicely snug in between both boards. Then I'm going to drill some holes on each end. This drill bit is a little smaller than what the screw is, so that way the screw can have something to hold on to. So I'm just going to place it there temporarily, and I'm going to mark where I need to pre-drill some holes on the boards, and then I'm going to pre-drill the screws onto the boards. That way they're already on there, and it's a little easier to attach the dowel. So once I have the holes in, I'm going to add a little bit of wood glue to the dowel again, just to create a really tight, secure bond, and pre-drill the screws that I mentioned earlier. I'm going to leave it just a tiny little bit exposed on the other side, and that way we'll know exactly where to put the dial. Is super easy to do. If you've never used power tools, I suggest maybe start with a power drill. It is such an easy tool, and it just makes things so much easier to work with. So I'm just going to tighten the screws on each side, and then it's time to start painting. The paint that I'm going to use today is by Amy Howard, and it's a beautiful paint. They title it like in a green, but to me it's more blue. Let me know in the comments, does it look more blue or more green to you? I don't know. To me, it's a little bit more green, but I love it. gorgeous color and great coverage. I'm just going to do one coat, although two would be preferred if you want full coverage. I am going to distress this box quite heavily, so one coat was really sufficient. I'm going to paint all the sides as well as the inside. For the side that the inside wall had with a felt, I'm just going to add some more of that nautical fabric, and I'm going to hot glue it in place. That way it's going to cover the felt. I tried to remove the felt. It was not coming off. It was stuck on there. So I said, you know what? It's okay. I'm just going to cover it with some fabric, and I thought using the nautical fabric that I used earlier was perfect for the color of the box. So once I had it attached there, then it's time to add a stencil. I'm going to use another of these reusable stencil. This is a clock one with the French design in the middle. I'm not going to use the clock portion, but I am going to use the center portion, and I'm going to use a sponge applicator here. It's like a makeup sponge, and I'm going to again use the charcoal Rust-Oleum chalk paint to stencil it, and I think it looks super cute. And then once again, I'm going to use my palm sander to sand it down and create a very farmhouse distressed worn out look that I absolutely love. But of course you don't have to. If you do not like the stress look, you can always leave it just as it was, and I think it was beautiful. I'm also going to distress the handles and the top just to kind of everything match. I did add some greenery to the inside of the box to keep it kind of simple. Oh, I did sand the inside a little bit with a sanding block, and I did add some of this top coat from Rust-Oleum just to seal everything in, especially the side with the stencil. That way everything's going to be sealed in. But let me remind you what this box looked like before, and this is what it looks like now. Such a beautiful box. I love that I added those handles. It makes it so much more grand and just so beautiful. And this is it for today, my friends. I have another video here for you with tons more of inspiration. Click on it, watch it, have fun, have a blessed day, and I'll see you later. Bye.